Sorry, these clocks are 3 minutes fast, so now it is 6 o'clock. I will now open this meeting at 6 o'clock. Thank you and welcome to our Wednesday, July 30th regular board meeting. Good evening. Bienvenidos a la Junta de la Mesa Directiva para las Escuelas de la Valle de Pajaro. We have translation here tonight. If you need that support, please see Leticia Centenaro right over here. Tenemos traducción en español. Si necesitas de este servicio, por favor, pasa con Leticia. This meeting will be live streamed and recorded. If someone would like to speak to an item on the agenda, they must complete a speaker card and hand it to Eva Renteria down here at this end prior to the start of that agenda item. I see a lot of new faces here tonight, so I want to take a few moments to establish a few ground rules. There may be differences of opinions, sometimes strong differences. Please give those speaking the same respect that you would like to receive when you are speaking. This will allow everyone to be heard and the board to conduct its necessary business. I will now ask Trustee Carrasco to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I will now move us on to item 3.3, our superintendent comments. Dr. Heather Contreras, our superintendent of schools, will make a few comments.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. I had previously stated that I would use my superintendent comments to share about data, but as we've been out of school for a little bit, we have not a lot of data to share. However, I would like to share that at our last meeting, I do remember talking about our federal funding situation and that we were in a position to be worried about what was happening with the release of funding for education. Since that time, our federal government has released the funds to us, so we are in a better position than we were 2 weeks ago, and that's good news for our educational system. So we're feeling a little bit of release of that pressure, so that's great, especially because our schools will open in 2 weeks' time. We're really excited to bring our students back, and we're working very hard. And in fact, we had 40 employees join us yesterday and Monday for a training called Effective School Boards Training. Our board engaged in this in June, and are very excited about that, and we'll be adopting a timeline for continuing the work of becoming an effective school board. But 40 people committed their time at a very busy time of year as we work to get our school started to learn about how we can become a highly effective district for our students. Those 40 people spent from 9 in the morning till 6 in the evening with very tightly controlled parameters to learn about how we will focus these board meetings half of the time completely on student outcomes. It's not going to happen overnight. We have a lot of things that we need to work on to begin changing how we go about our business, but we're really excited for that work, and I want to thank those 40 people who engaged their time because a lot of them came off of vacation to do that. It was transformative for all of us, and I think that ultimately the people who are going to benefit are our students. So I look forward to later in this meeting when we're going to adopt a timeline for continuing the work with our school board. And I look forward to years down the road when we're going to see the huge impact of the dedication of our board and our community to making this district great for kids.
Thank you. I will now move us on to item 3.4, our governing board comments. This is a time for each board member to make a few comments. I do want to also note that Trustee Flynn is still on medical leave and therefore has an excused absence. We wish her a full recovery and look forward to her return. And I will have Trustee Medina just got here, so I'll let him get settled. Trustee Carrasco.
Can you guys hear me? Okay. Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming. I'm going to be very brief. I am still working with a group of students from PV High on our mural, so that is still progress. We're still slowly working on it. And I also wanted to mention that I attended the PVUSD migrant graduation celebration at Cabrillo College. I was able to speak with Rebecca Garcia during the celebration, and we were celebrating students from different high schools from our district who completed English classes at Cabrillo College as high schoolers. So that was really exciting, and I got to meet a lot of my older students who were now mentors from Berkeley and CSUMB. So that was really amazing to be able to connect with old students. But we have amazing students really just applying themselves with all of our community college opportunities, and I just wanted to highlight that today.
Thank you. Trustee Turley? Okay. Trustee Medina, are you ready?
I am. All right, cool. So I want to begin tonight by naming a deep grief in our community. Nicholas Magana Zamora was only 15 years old. After days of searching, his body was found in the mud and shallow waters of College Lake. His family is mourning, his classmates are mourning, and whether we say it out loud or not, our students are watching to see if we care. One of his friends wrote, "I can't believe this moment came. I would have never thought you would be gone, brother. I'm trying to convince myself the news isn't true and all this was a dream. I'll forever keep your name alive, brother." This grief is fresh, but it is not new. In April, Joshua Perez passed away. He was another young, gifted man, bright, creative, loved to play piano and fix things. Just months before that, on Christmas Day, Alvaro Perez Chavez Jr. died unexpectedly at 15. He was known for his joy, his TikToks, his music, and his smile. 3 young lives, all students in our district, all gone in less than a year. And yet, what have we done in response? We just approved $300,000 for police to be on our campuses. Meanwhile, I'm hearing that our middle schools are being reduced to just 1 counselor per site. We removed Barrios Unidos, a program that offered mentorship, healing circles, and culturally grounded support, and replaced it with silence. Just like Santa Cruz County lost Planned Parenthood, we are watching critical support systems for youth vanish right here in our district. And what's replacing them? Surveillance, policing, silence. What are we telling our students? That their struggles are less important than adult comfort? That surveillance is more valuable than mental health? There is something happening internally with our youth. Many of them are walking through schools like ghosts, numb, tired, disconnected. They're not just lacking academic resources, they're lacking care. They're watching adults dodge their pain and cut the very lifelines they need. This isn't about policies, it's about presence. It's about whether adults in power are willing to look our youth in the eye and say, "We see your pain, we are here for you." I grew up in a household where mental health was dismissed. I was told it was all in my head, but for today's youth, especially Black and brown youth, that silence is compounded by deportations, evictions, racism, and now abandonment by their own schools. When we fail to respond with care, we teach students that their suffering doesn't matter. And I will not stay silent while more young people end up on memorial posters instead of graduation stages. So I'll end with this. If we do not invest in healing, we are complicit in harm. And I hope never to read another message like "forever keep you alive, brother." Not because love isn't powerful, but because more students should be lost. No more students should be lost before they are heard. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Dodge?
As many of us have seen, the young student who tragically passed away, there is a neighbor of mine. he was in my neighbor's quinceañera. So, but I know some of the, they're trying to keep it under wraps, but I'd also like to acknowledge that as well. And I also too like to thank the city. For a long time, many of my constituents, and there's a church who does good work. They hand out food, and they take students. So I'm not sure what city council member represents. I know it's a mixed area, Lincoln and East Fifth. It looks like they're working on more crosswalks, possibly a stop sign. I don't know, but I just like to thank the city council members, the city manager, and I also know they're working on more crosswalks on Palm and Madison. And so I just like to thank any city council members who are helping on that issue. And also too, I'd like to let the public know that I reached out. We have a new coastal commissioner representing this area, and I know a long time we've had issues. The Pajaro Valley, the city of Watsonville, the Pajaro Valley Unified School District. The Coastal Commission set many restrictions on what can be done at Pajaro Valley Unified School District. I reached out to this newest member who is a supervisor in Monterey County, and I look forward to meeting him and talking what we need to do, anything to do to help Pajaro Valley High School. So, thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Navarro?
Good evening. I just want to keep my comments brief so that we can get out of here at a reasonable time. I want to appreciate Trustee Medina bringing up the death of one of our students. Unfortunately, it's a scary time for not only students, but parents and all community members right now. And we really need to identify and lean on each other. Unfortunately, the lack of pediatric mental health in this area is a huge problem, not just here, but across the state. And unfortunately, a lot of this has fallen on the schools when really that's not their primary role. The primary role of kids is to teach them how to read and write and to prepare them for college or whatever they're going to do after college. But unfortunately, just like the emergency department, the schools have become kind of the safety net for society, and a lot of things have fallen on the schools. So I hope that we can work together with our community partners and our CCAH managed Medi-Cal and the district and the county to do what we can to support these students going forward. Lastly, I just wanted to thank all of the participants that came to the effective school board training. I know that the 5 of us that showed up at the first training really got a lot out of it, and I hope that those of you that showed up got a lot out of it as well. And hopefully you'll understand some of the changes that we're going to be making going forward to have more efficient and effective board meetings. A lot of the things that we're working on right now is specifically with the agenda of what belongs on the agenda and what doesn't belong on the agenda, and what things we can get out to the community in other formats like newsletters or town halls or one-on-one conversations and going back and forth through email. So I want to let the public know that we want to make sure that everyone's voices are heard and that we go out and figure out what the direction the community wants us to take as a district and what guardrails they want us to put on the district office to make sure that those things get done. Lastly, I just wanted to mention that summer went by really quick, and I'm looking forward to meeting with the principals of my sites and some of the new principals to offer support in the upcoming year. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so I want to thank you all for coming out tonight and joining us for our board meeting. I would like to take a moment to share a few upcoming events. This Tuesday is National Night Out. We hope you'll be able to attend one of the many gatherings happening throughout our town. It is a great way to connect with neighbors and our community. On Friday, August 8th, hope you can make it to our Back to School Flick and Float at the Watsonville High School swimming pool. This event will begin at 7 o'clock. Bring your floaties and enjoy a movie under the stars. Saturday the 9th is Relay for Life, also happening at Watsonville High School. That is from 10 to 5. Come on out and support a great cause. We also have the Strawberry Festival happening this weekend, August 1st through the 3rd. So that's always a fun event to attend and get some yummy treats. And I too want to thank all those who came and committed their time to the board governance training with effective school boards. It's going to take all of us working together to do what we can to be better leaders of PVUSD. And like Dr. Contreras said, the ones who will benefit the most from this is the students. So as we approach the start of this new school year, I want to wish all students and staff a successful and fulfilling 2025-2026 school year. And lastly, I do want to extend my heartfelt condolences to the Magaña Zamora family. Please know that you are in our thoughts. Thank you. Okay, I will now move us on to approval of our agenda. I have been asked if we can remove item 9.6. So if I can have a motion to approve the agenda with the removal of 9.6. Trustee Medina?
Yeah, I'd also like to move, I'd like to motion move 9.1, which is the vote of no confidence from action to a discussion item. I know Trustee Flynn was interested in that and being a participant in that. So if we could do that in addition to, that would be great. Because, and then also if the superintendent could clarify, I was told that items need to go to a discussion and then they go to an action item. And this went directly to an action item. So was I misinformed by you or one of our lawyers on that?
For this particular item, I believe your request was specifically for a vote of no confidence, which would have signified a request to make it an action item. And so I believe the agenda setting committee was attempting to directly honor your specific request, which was signified that it was an action item.
It's just really interesting that Trustee Flynn's not here and you put that there when I think we need to discuss it prior. So I'd like to make that motion.
Okay, so the motion is to approve the agenda with moving item 9.1 to discussion and removing item 9.6.
May I ask a question? Is the representative from the union for the 9.6 in agreement with postponing? Is that,
Yes.
okay, then I'll second.
Okay, I have a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Moving 9.1 to discussion and removing 9.6, tabling that one completely. So we have 3 ayes. All those opposed? Aye. Motion fails for lack of quorum. So I still need a motion to approve the agenda as is with the removal of item 9.6.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda removing item 9.6.
Second.
Okay, I have a first and a second to approve the agenda with the removal of item 9.6. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, and
Very strategic.
that motion carries 4-2-0-1. Okay, I will now move us on to item 5.1, the approval of July 16th, 2025 board meeting minutes. Can I have a motion to approve, please?
Move approval?
Thank you.
I second.
I have a first and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstaining? Okay. And Trustee Carrasco, you were in favor of it? Okay. So I have motion passes 5-0-1-1. Thank you. And now we will do our report out of closed session. Trustee Navarro?
Good evening. I move to approve certificated personnel report as presented by District Administration on July 30th, 2025 with 6 and 8 additional action items.
And I second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstaining?
Should Gabe abstain because he wasn't there?
Yes. Did you also abstain? Okay. So motion passes 4-0-2-1.
I move to approve the classified personnel report as presented by District Administration on July 30th, 2025 with 4 and 3 additional action items.
Thank you. I second. All those in favor? Aye. Trustee Carrasco? In favor of items, what was it, 2? Okay, thank you. Any opposed? Any abstaining? Thank you. Motion passes 4-0 to 1. And now I will move us, sorry.
The Pajaro Valley Unified School District is pleased to announce the selection of Erica Boyd as the new coordinator for child development and TK with a TK ECE emphasis. Erica is currently serving as a kindergarten teacher at Radcliffe Elementary in the PVUSD with over a decade of experience in education. Erica has taught students from preschool through 2nd grade and served in leadership capacities, including the teacher director number 3 of Head Start and Compass Community Services and a preschool teacher for Modified Peninsula Unified School District. Erica holds a bachelor's degree in human development with a specialization in early childhood education from Pacific Oaks, as well as an associate degree from Cabrillo College in early education and liberal studies. She also earned a preliminary multiple subject teaching credential and a child development site supervisor permit, along with English learner authorization and LETRS training. We are excited to welcome this highly qualified educator to her new role. The Pajaro Valley Unified School District is also pleased to announce the selection of Stephanie Monroe as the new principal of Ann Soldel Elementary School. Ms. Monroe has been serving students since 1997 as a teacher, after-school coordinator, assistant principal of Mar Vista Elementary. Her most recent role was visual and performing arts coordinator at PVUSD. Ms. Monroe holds a bachelor's degree in anthropology from UC Berkeley and received her master's of science in education from Cal State East Bay. She holds a multiple subject credential and an administrative credential. We're excited to welcome this highly accomplished educator to her new role. Go All-Stars. On behalf of our superintendent and district administration, announcement number 3. We are pleased to announce that Mr. Sergio Ambrose promoted to Director of Facilities and Construction. Mr. Ambrose has worked for the Pajaro Valley Unified School District for 9 years, starting as a maintenance specialist, supervisor of maintenance and operations, and most recently as assistant director of maintenance and operations. He brings to his new position a broad background in various trades such as plumbing, carpentry, and HVAC, to name a few. His knowledge and understanding of construction and the maintenance and operations systems of the district are invaluable as he begins this new position. He is skilled at problem solving, safety compliance, and leading construction projects. He cultivates productive working relationships and instills confidence and trust in those he works alongside. We're proud to promote Mr. Ambrose to Director of Facilities and Maintenance. He looks forward to serving the district and continuing the good work of improving district facilities in his new role. Thank you.
And he is here tonight. Thank you. Okay, I will now move us on to item 7.1, public comment. This is an opportunity for members of the public to address issues that are not on our agenda this evening. Please know that though the Brown Act prohibits the board from engaging in discussion for non-agendized items, we are listening. Do we have any public comments?
We do. Matt, I'm just going to call a few at a time. Matt Dantzler, Aaron Johnson, Rachel Dapar, Kristen Hurley, Dane Oldegard, Rory Oldegard, and Brandon Johnson.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to open up and just speak a blessing over you guys. Father, you are good. I thank you for this board. I thank you for their hearts to serve students in our community. I pray your blessing upon this night and upon each person in this room. Thank you that they've sacrificed an evening at home to be here tonight, that they care. I pray you, Father, would lead and guide this night, the discussion, the decisions that are made. Give your wisdom from heaven to each to steward their positions with excellence, that truth would be spoken in love, that respect and courtesy would be extended to each member to another. I pray for softened hearts and goodwill. I pray that your perfect and pleasing will would be done tonight, God. What's best for our students, their families, and our community, that you would be glorified. Father, I pray for Nicholas, forgive me, I'm going to pronounce his name wrong, Manana Zamora's family, that you would comfort them. You are near to the brokenhearted, Jesus. In your beautiful name, amen.
Hi, everybody. Kristen Hurley here. I wanted to revisit something that's been going on for a while on this board, and Brandon Johnson had written a letter of reflections after the last school board meeting the other week. And I wanted to quote a little bit from it and then speak a little bit. This is from Brandon. He said, Trustee Medina should be modeling good behavior and respectful leadership, but instead he models bullying, intimidation, and chaos. His behavior is so unhinged, it borders on kind of demonic manifestation, not merely political theater, but reckless, damaging, divisive, and dangerous. This is precisely the kind of disruptive, destabilizing conduct we want to prevent on our school campuses. And here he is and has been in a position of leadership, modeling the exact opposite of what our children need to see. And I did want to say on my own notes that I feel like after watching months and months of what's going on here, the only one looking at any of the issues facing this district, which is budget, academics, safety, anyone looking at any of this through the lens of skin color or race is Medina. Students are not benefited by that kind of rhetoric and behavior. We've all witnessed him in his role as trustee. And there's trust in there. And I think he's betraying that trust in the community to call people out by skin color or religion. And this is really beneath the standards of decorum for our community, or what it means to be in leadership, and definitely what it means to conduct ourselves as Americans. So I would like to see a revisit of the censure vote on Trustee Medina. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Matt Dantzler. I'm a nurse in our area. I'm born in Los Gatos and raised here. I have 2 young kids that are soon to be school age. This is my first Board of Trustees school board meeting, so thank you so much for everyone's time. But what I've heard of Ms. Flores is nothing but exemplary, and I thank you very much for all that's said here, and I certainly agree with Dr. Navarro here. Our schools are never going to be in a position to provide licensed medical care in that capacity. And so thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Thank you for all the things that need to be said here. And I thank you so much for making this a place where everyone's voice gets to be heard, and not just those who speak with divisiveness or personal libel. So thank you for everyone's time.
Good evening. Thank you again, board, and thank you, members here. Thank you for being here and hearing public comment. And in the course of your duties serving the public, you are to compose yourself with courtesy, self-control, good decorum. And it's disturbing to see Trustee Medina and how he composes himself, and it does not comport with these things. You are paid by public tax dollars, and you serve the public. You serve the public. And your leadership position, here we go, guys. Case in point. Your leadership position comes from God. A passage from the epistle of Paul to the Romans. For rulers are not a terror to good works, but to evil. Do you want to be afraid of authority? Do what is good. You will have praise from the same, for he is God's minister for good work. But if you do evil, be afraid, for he does not bear the sword in vain, for he is God's minister and avenger to execute wrath on him who practices evil. And another verse from Proverbs 28, verses 4-5. Those who forsake the law praise the wicked. Those who forsake the law praise the wicked. But such as keep the law contend with them. Evil men do not understand justice, but those who seek the Lord understand all. To all board members that compose themselves with courtesy and decorum, thank you for your restraint. Your good work is noted. Your bad work is noted. Lastly, Galatians chapter 6, verse 7, do not be deceived. God is not mocked. For whatever a man sows, that will he reap. Thank you.
Thank you. And just for clarification, Dr. Navarro did not reset her timer. I had the current timer for that last commenter, and it's just now about to go off. Thank you.
Thank you, board, for being here and hearing these comments. I just want to speak to a couple safety issues. Last meeting, comments were brought up about the safety of schools being in and around ag fields. I just wrapped up 30 years as a professional pest control advisor, working both here in Santa Cruz and Monterey County. Our growers take seriously the safety of students in schools. And since 2018, you can't spray within a quarter mile of a school while the school's in session. And for most farmers, they just do it on the weekend when nobody's around. They wait. There's additional requirements. Growers within that quarter mile buffer are allowed to, or mandated to, notify the principal of each school what their spray list is going to be for that year. And if there's a change, they got to notify them within 48 hours. It's all on the board. So I just want to make that point clear. The other safety item I want to speak to is I live near Minnie White and EA Hall School, and I would hope that the city could do something about the speed limit on Brewington. It's out of control. And I see people blowing out the stop sign at Palm. In the morning, not so much, but in the afternoon when kids are out, I see it all the time. So I would encourage the board to encourage the mayor and the police chief to increase patrols on Brewington during school hours especially. And they can use my driveway for their motorcycle cop with his radar gun if they want to. All right, thank you.
If folks can state their name when they come up. Sir, what was your name?
Oh, I'm sorry, Rory.
Those are the ones that
Oh, thank you. Okay. Hi, guys. Thank you for tonight, for being here and letting us speak. Thank you to the nicely dressed officers in the back of the room who are here. They're peace officers bringing peace to this room. My name is Brandon Johnson. I spoke with you guys last month. I serve as a pastor for 20 years in Santa Cruz County, high school teacher, football coach, youth mentor, ocean lifeguard. Before COVID, I actually spent 3 years on the curb at Home Depot ministering to the day laborers. Instead of Sunday morning going and preaching to people, I preached to these people here that are wonderful men who are serving. They need to know that God loves them, He cares about them, we care about them, and that they need to know they matter. So even though there was comments made against me, saying somehow I'm against these people, that's not true. Tonight, I want to respond to the comments that Trustee Gabe Medina. The last meeting, I sent each of you a summary of the observations that I had. Santa Cruz Sentinel failed to publish the entire amount of it, and it omitted some of the important criticisms. I'm actually grateful that Trustee Medina in his Substack requested that I give more clarification, so I'm going to give a clarification specifically to where he said, now 51% of school shooters are white, so we need someone in Aptos to protect the brown students. I'm sorry, that's racist. It's pitting people against each other based on skin color. The officers here are guarding all of us, including Medina, because they're peace officers. So therefore, the crowd yelled racism because it was. Trustee Medina has failed to uphold public trust. Last meeting, consistently got up and walked out when I spoke, and other people. And when people offered opposing views, that's against the point of holding an office. You're actually supposed to listen to a redress of grievances. He got up probably 50% of the time. Overwhelmingly, there was a community support. I don't know if you all read or saw the community survey for 2025, but it shows 80% of the parents, staff, and local residents want the SRO program. The kids don't know what they want, so they said, we're not sure, because the adults are supposed to be making these decisions, not people who are trying to cause racism. All right.
When you
Thank
say
you,
gang
that's
violence,
fine.
who are you referring to then?
Trustee Medina.
No, I'm just curious. When we say gang violence,
We are not supposed
what
to
specific
address
person
the-
is this man talking about?
We're not supposed to address.
I thought so.
Next, we have Dominic Odegaard, Alex Solano, Gil Stein, Omar Diegues, Adela, and Emily Hallberg. Is that all I got for 7-1?
Okay, thank you. My name is Adela Naranjo Bernabe. I'm representing myself as a parent, a concerned community member. I want to say thank you to the board, particularly to Trustee Medina for, your courage. I think now more than ever, we need to be uncomfortable. And with the ongoing raids that we have observed in several outlets, I am very concerned as a former educator for the PVUSD district in terms of how we are preparing our teachers in responding, supporting, and ensuring that there's care for students. So I did write a little something that I would like to read. In light of the challenges of our communities that we may face, I want to gently emphasize the importance of preparing our teachers to respond mindfully and compassionately in the event of immigration raids or similar disruptions. Our educators are often the first line of emotional support for students during frightening moments. Providing them with a thoughtful training and resources empowers them to remain calm, protect students, and create a sense of safety, even in uncertainty. This is not about protocols, it's about care, dignity, and ensuring that every child, adult in our school feels supported and safe. I kindly urge the board to consider how we can better prepare and care for our teachers as they care for our students. Thank you. Gracias y buenas tardes.
Good evening. My name is Gil Stein, and again, I thank you for being here. It's hard work being a trustee, and it's not a job that I would want to do. One of the things I want to talk about is the article in Lookout this morning that I saw that said that despite declining enrollment of 12% in the district and the layoff of 50 teachers, the district added 20 administrators. First, I don't always believe what I read in the paper, so I want some clarification to see if that's really accurate or not. And if it is, I'd like an explanation as to why at the time that you know that you're losing students, that you add 20 administrators and losing 50 teachers. So I'm sure there's a reason. I don't know if it's a good reason or not, but I'd like to hear the explanation. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm also part of the community organizing group against ICE, and I want to talk about the school safety was a priority of our students, protecting our students. And the things that we discussed were inviting our educators to those groups, our leaders from our educator, our leaders from our school board to be part of these talks. So we will be sending an invite, and we would love for you guys to come and be part of that, to be part of the solution, to tell us how you're going to help protect our students if ICE were to come on campus. The other thing I want to put out, spray days. If you guys got a pencil, write this down. Spray Days California, spraydays.cdpr.ca.gov. This is a newly website that will alert you when pesticides are being sprayed near your schools. Just this week, I have all the schools, and you can put up to 10 different addresses. Just this week, Ohlone School, 4 different types of pesticides have been sprayed near that school in under a mile. Pesticides linger in the air for 3 days, travel up to 7 miles, 7-mile radius, and stay in the dirt. They stay in the dirt. When those fields are covered with plastic, they penetrate the dirt. They're harming our Mother Earth. They're harming our farm workers. They're harming our students. And for people to say that it doesn't harm our community, we have the people that have the scars. We know the people that have the scars. So please, I ask you to write this website down, look into it, Spray Days California. You could put, if you care about your schools, you would have this app into your phone with your school district and the schools in your district.
Is that it for public comment? Oh, okay.
All
All right, hi, trustees. For those of you that don't know me, my name's Emily Halbig. This will be my 21st year in the district. I currently teach at Cesar Chavez Middle School. I emailed all of you about the issue that I'm going to speak to tonight, and I just want to thank Trustee Medina to be the only one who responded to me in detail, very thoughtful regarding this issue. I also was a member of the Sustainable Budget Team. I was one of 2 teachers who was on that committee, and so the issue that I'm here to talk to you about tonight was actually not presented to us last year when we participated in that, and I do feel like that was purposeful. I feel like that some decisions that the district is making right now in the summer, they're doing it on purpose because it's the summer where teachers don't have as much time to organize and mobilize to support each other. The issue is not affecting me, but it is affecting people that I care about, including students. So I work at CCMS, which has an incredible reputation in the district. If you're not aware, if you're new to the district, we have dozens of people asking for interdistrict transfer because we have a really solid, low turnover, solid reputation, or a lot of teachers that stay. Our leadership is very consistent. And one of our teachers was informed just a couple weeks ago that they're going to be reassigned from our site to another middle school. What was disconcerting to me was that I wrote an email to Dr. Contreras along with the assistant superintendent of HR, and I received 2 kind of different responses. I was first told that the reason that he's being reassigned is because they weren't able to find a candidate in time, and they are concerned that students at Rolling Hills are not going to have a qualified teacher, but that job was never posted on EdJoin. So how are you going to find an applicant if you don't actually post it? And then I was also told by HR that the reason is enrollment numbers, and we know that our numbers are declining, and we also know that our other veteran PE teacher, our male PE teacher, is going to be retiring after the upcoming year. And as a leadership team at our site, we have already discussed that next year, after this coming year, we plan to go from 3 PE teachers to 2. So to take our amazing athletic coordinator who has dedicated so much time and is a really valuable member of our leadership team and move him to another site is not acceptable. It's also affecting TOSAs, which makes me really unhappy too. So just wanted to bring that to your attention and encourage you to ask them to post those jobs on EdJoin.
Alex Solano and Marilyn Garrett.
Alex Solano. I just wanted to say, just want you guys to know we're praying for you and that Jesus is King, and that we are praying that God would bless you in the calling that He has for you. Great.
Marilyn Garrett. I taught in this district 20 years, and I advocate for health. We should be banning pesticides. They shouldn't be allowed at all. Anything toxic is harmful to children and us all. And it's well known. If it weren't for the corporations producing these poisons and propagandizing the public into thinking they're great, we'd be much more healthy. I'd like to refer to a book called The Medical Pharmaceutical Killing Machine. Facing Facts Could Save Your Life by Children's Health Defense. And there's a quote I'd like to put in here from Mark Twain, or attributed to him. It ain't what you don't know that's the problem. It's what you know for sure that just ain't so. So think of safe and effective vaccines. It just ain't so. And this book refers to it. And just part of the quote, as Eisenhower warned us about the military-industrial complex, Children's Health Defense warns us about the medical, pharmaceutical, industrial complex, showing that death by medicine, and I'll add, including by the COVID shots, is far more common in the U.S. than many people realize. Let's race through just a few of the book's highlights, and there isn't really time here to do that. But in the book, The Killing Machine, you can read about how euthanasia is growing in popularity. You can read about the toxic chemicals. So I'll lead you with copies of this. And I want to recommend their publication called Wise Traditions. It just came in the mail today.
Marilyn, that's your time. Thank
with
you.
An article on alleged measles outbreaks. Thank you.
Thank you. So now I will move us on to employee organizational comments. Now is the time for to hear from our employee organizations. Each will have 5 minutes. We will start with PVFT. Thank you, Brandon.
All right, so hello, welcome, thank you to the board. I want to say hello and shout out all our teachers who, summer is ending, and for some of those teachers, they got an email yesterday at 5:30 that said you have a meeting tomorrow at 10:30 to find out where you're going to be teaching, which I know it's just you guys trying to do your best to get them as fast as you could, and that we've all been busy, but I've checked in with some of those people and they didn't get a phone call along with that email. You know, if you're trying to get someone into a meeting the next day, you should also give them a call. And I want to share that we are really frustrated because all summer long, our members have been reassigned from their site to fill vacancies elsewhere, but those vacancies don't get posted on EdJoin because the district doesn't intend to hire from outside, because you guys have been saying if we hire that person, we're gonna lay them off. But when people hear I'm being reassigned to fill a vacancy and they go on EdJoin, they're like, I don't see the vacancies. And it is in our contract that vacancies get posted in so far advance as the closing date as possible. So what I'd like to see is some kind of system where we post it on EdJoin with a disclaimer. This is for an internal reassignment, or somewhere where when someone gets that first news, they can go to EdJoin and they can see there's a position posted, and we won't have outside applicants applying who then may be laid off in the future. Our members were reassigned in June from Renaissance to fill vacancies. We had members reassigned who were in COVID-funded intervention positions. And if you remember, the board rejected those cuts, and now we're placing those people into classroom positions. We've been understanding and flexible and understanding that our students need classroom teachers. We've also recognized that we come up here and say you need to reduce employment through attrition and not through layoffs. So we've been partnering with the district. You guys have kept me really busy this summer. I have been in so many meetings with the district this summer and have members, because they don't call you guys when they're concerned and stressed out. They call me, and a lot of times they're asking questions that I can't answer because I don't have the full story. And now here we are, a couple weeks from school, and people are just finding out they're going to be moved. So I'd ask that as part of this process, the district provide us with the information that we deserve of how many positions have been moved, what's the total savings, and we'd like to see this factored into any potential discussion of a reduction in force in February. Because if we're going to be potentially laying people off, all these people who are being moved around to prevent you all from having a hire need to be factored into that. I did unfortunately see a post on social media from a board member today on the topic of our middle school counselors. And the post said that, it's a rumor, we're not reducing positions, we need to see the enrollment numbers first. That is wrong. The way we have always staffed our middle school counseling positions has been with 2. In the past, we have had one person was the social emotional counselor, one person was the academic counselor. So regardless of school size, our middle schools have been staffed with 2 counselors. Look at the employee list from 5 years back, 10 years back, however far you want to go. We have always staffed our middle schools with 2 counselors. So we're going to have a discussion on safety tonight and our SROs at the high schools. Mental health clinicians, to my knowledge, are not in our middle schools, though. So what access to mental health supports do our middle school students have? They have their counselors. It takes 2 counselors to do that job. Middle school is often the most crazy time of our lives. Our hormones are going out of control. There's issues every single day at a middle school, and it takes 2 counselors to do that work. If one counselor is working with a student who starts to exhibit suicidal ideation, you need your team member there to help while you go make a call. Middle schools have to be staffed with 2 counselors. If the district wants to come up with a ratio of how we staff based on enrollment, that needs to follow a negotiated process. If you want to reduce the base level of staffing for how we do our counselors, that needs to follow a reduction in force. So please, let's stop contributing to the rumors that we base our staffing of counselors based on enrollment. No, we have always had 2. We negotiated a change in the job title because often if you were the academic counselor and a student's having a social emotional issue, you're not going to tell that student, sorry, bro, I'm the academic coordinator or academic counselor, I can't help you. You're going to share that work. So it takes 2 counselors to do that work. I hope that we can make the right decision to hire for those positions, fill those positions, because all the work we've been doing to help stave layoffs and help the district, this is in a totally different bucket when it comes to the counselors. This is not acceptable, and these positions need to be filled like tomorrow.
Thank you. Do we have anyone from CSEA?
Because I'm back from leave. Good evening, President Flores, trustees, Superintendent Contreras, and community members. Thank you all for being here. If you don't know, my name is Ashley Yoro Flowers, and I proudly serve as chapter president for CSEA, Chapter 132. That is who we are. On behalf of our classified employees, I want to welcome everybody to a new school year filled with purpose, possibility, and a renewed commitment to the students we all serve. Before I continue, I want to take a moment to acknowledge the heartbreak we felt in our district. Chapter 132 is grieving with our community in the untimely loss of young life. Our hearts and our light pour into all who are hurting. We stand with you in sorrow, in love, and in solidarity. As we move into this new school year, we know the heart of every successful start begins with preparation. From the front office to the food services, our paraeducators and our bus drivers, custodians, healthcare assistants, and beyond, classified employees show up early. They stay late. And they pour dedication into every detail that supports a child's day. We are proud of the role we play in creating a safe, inclusive, and thriving learning environment. This year, I'm especially encouraged with the recent school board workshop that we were able to be a part of. It was not only effective, it was meaningful in a step towards open dialogue, shared understanding, and a strong governance. Thank you for creating that space, Dr. Contreras. Just the honest conversation and the vision-driven and collaboration. We see the effort and we appreciate them. My only constructive comment, because I have one, towards the workshop is the framework that we discussed could only truly be functional if all adults participate and understand what PVUSD is driving towards. We all need to be trained in it and committed to practicing it daily. When we share a collective mindset with magnificent student outcomes as our goal, ladies and gentlemen, everybody rises. CSEA wants to uplift our labor partners. We stand united with you in our mission to serve students and families. Our strength as a district grows when we work together with mutual respect, and we are proud to be part of that unity. As the school year unfolds, may we continue to lead with equity, excellence, integrity. Our students are counting on us, and we are ready. We are CSEA. Thank you.
Thank you. And I see Mike Floor for CWA.
Yes.
Check. Okay, it's working. Good evening, Board of Trustees, Dr. Contreras, President Flores, Vice President Dr. Navarro. My name is Mike Flora. I'm here representing CWA, which is the union that represents our substitutes. And I'm going to start off by saying that just to clarify what happened with the agenda tonight. We reached an agreement in our negotiations. It was over the summer. Kit signed off on it last week. Unfortunately, our chapter president, David Seda, was out of the country on vacation, so he wasn't able to organize the appropriate Zoom meeting to basically explain it to our members. And the substitutes are kind of everywhere over the summer. So we're just kind of tabling it until the next meeting so we can do it in the appropriate way. And there's another component too that wasn't done quite yet. So I realized that yesterday and brought it up. I've worked so hard on leading the charge with this that I don't want anything to fall out of place. So it'd be so awesome to have it voted on tonight and approved. I'd feel really good about that, but it'll happen, I hope, next month. So yeah, Trustee Turley, I appreciate that you were advocating on our behalf when you heard that we were gonna, I was here. So it's all good. I'm the one that kind of led it. So I appreciate that. The negotiation is basically increasing the rates on a couple things and starting the process on the sub-training program. There's still some pieces that need to be kind of worked out with that. And we're going to talk about that next week. So there's still hope for that. People watching, that has not gone through the cracks. It's going to happen. So that's what's going on with the negotiations and with agenda item 9.6 being kind of postponed. So with that being said, I went to the closed session last week and I addressed the board without the public fanfare. And I mentioned that the June 25th meeting, I tried a different approach to my share, trying different things out, and I ended up calling out Dr. Navarro about something, and even Claudia, I called you out in public. And I've since realized that wasn't the most effective way to communicate. The benefit to me in that moment by talking that way was control. And the cost to you was some public embarrassment in the public forum, not the best way to get things done with people that you're working with. And in that moment, I was feeling like I was Dr. Contreras, like I was the boss or Steve Jobs or something like that. So in the future, you can expect more appropriate communications from me moving forward. And on that note, thank you very much.
What you all just witnessed is what we were learning in our board governance and how to take ownership in when we do tend to make mistakes as we do up here. Thank you. Do we have anyone here from PAVAM? Okay, seeing none, I will now move us on to our action items. We're going to start with item 9.1, a vote of no confidence in Board of Education leadership. I don't really have a report to present on this, so we will go to public comment. No, public comment first.
Matt Dantzler, Bill Beecher, Aaron Johnson, Rachel Daper, Kristen Hurley, Dane Odegaard, and Casey Clark. If you could please say your name when you come to the podium for Eva, that'd be great. Bill, if you're up here first, you can go first.
Shy as I am. Thank you. Of all the things that we should be talking about, the budget, closing schools, declining enrollment, improving academic performance, we're here to consider a no confidence vote. Talk about the pot calling the kettle black. Trustee Medina wants no confidence vote when he has been the major source of disruption for this board. He is angry because few will listen to him, so he wants to continue his bullying by insisting on a no confidence vote. Perhaps if he learned how to get buy-in on your ideas, we would not be at this point. You need to learn how to be a team player before you can lead this board. You have good ideas. You just don't know how to lead. You don't know how to sell them. All you want to do is complain that no one listens to you. Have you considered that perhaps you are the problem? You were like this in grammar school and high school. President Flores has tried to provide a steady hand guiding this inexperienced board through some difficult situations. It's the timer for my dog. I'm supposed to do his eyes right now. So now this, for President Flores, is including the continued harassment of fellow board members. Who can forget your Dr. Barbie cheap shots? This has to stop. We have serious issues to deal with. Therefore, I suggest that this item be tabled forever and let's work on real stuff. Thank you.
Good evening, Casey Clark. I think I'm District 5, Trustee Dodge's constituent. Thank you, President Flores, Dr. Superintendent Contreras, and the rest of the trustees. I just want to say thank you for those of you who treat everybody with grace and civility. Thank you. And I think that this vote for no confidence, everybody should vote no on this. This is ridiculous. As Mr. Beecher said before, there are bigger things to deal with here, and this is just a waste of time. And stop the pissing contest. Thank you.
Dane Odegaard again. And you should be careful with your words. That's the caution of the tale of the day. And again, to echo what many have said, we are so grateful for how you all have comported yourself with dignity and respect. And another caution to you, obviously, your sins will find you out, be sure of that. Yes. And I thank you all. Continue to do good work. And I know it's immense stress and much pressure. But we here in the community, we're here to stand behind you to try to get things done for the education of the children in this community. And we're in earnest to do that. So thank you.
My name is Erin Johnson. I'm a concerned community member. I just wanted to thank all of you for the work that you do. I know it's hard work and it is stressful. Last meeting was my first meeting, my first time attending and observing, and I would like to address you, Trustee Medina. I believe in giving people the benefit of the doubt, and so I'm extending it to you. And I just want to speak the truth in love and just what I observed. So I don't know if you're aware of how you came across in last meeting. It was my only time observing you, barring this meeting. But your actions were consistently dismissive. I noticed that you walked off the stage numerous times when I'm guessing you didn't like what somebody was saying. It came across as immature and disrespectful and rude. And I don't observe that. I didn't observe that in the other trustees. I can tell you are a champion of the Roberts Rules of Order. And I'm assuming that you've read them, but one of the core principles is respect and courtesy. Sorry, I'm lost my place. So there's a difference in violating one of the rules by ignorance or a mistake versus with intention. I feel like the letter of the law may not have been kept perfectly last meeting, but the spirit of the law was violated by you with the disrespect and the courtesy issues. And so, which one is more grievous? I'm deeply concerned about how your behavior is affecting the team.
Thank you.
And I would just like the
Thank
trustees
you. That's your time.
to consider holding it accountable. So
Thank you.
Kristen Hurley again, just real quick. I echo all of that. You guys are doing what you can here in a tough spot for a district that has a lot of variables and a lot of balls in the air and concerns and a lot of students that you have to serve. So thank you very much. I want to say shame on you for this agenda item. Like, what a total and complete waste of time. You guys, as this gentleman said, could be solving actual problems. So with that said, I'm going to let the meeting roll on. But thank you for your work. This is crazy. We're in full support of the work being done by the majority of the board here. Thank you.
Point of clarification. The agenda setting puts the items on the agenda, correct?
Correct.
Cool. Just, this didn't need to be on, by the way. They put it on. When do you put stuff that I request?
It's all right. Thank you. We'll move on.
I think it's my turn. Hi, I'm Matt Dantzler again. Yeah, no one can lead if all they want to do is tear other people down and not bring a team together. No unit can work that way. Effective leaders always pull together and they bring their solutions up in a cooperative way. Furthermore, I'm so glad to hear about all the care for the health and well-being of our young. A lot of very high percentage of my patients are CCAH, and my year in critical care, I've been called to the bedside of a young person dying as the result of narcotic overuse and violence and illicit substances. I think are ravaging our people, and it's a disaster. And I applaud anything that we can do to prevent that. So thank you so much, Ms. Flores.
Next up, we have Rory Odegaard, Brandon Johnson, Dominic Odegaard, Alex Solano, Gil Stein, Eli Davies, Dr. Barraza, and Gabriel Barraza.
Hi, my name is Rory Odegaard, and I just want to say that as a tax-paying member of Santa Cruz County since 1988, I categorically reject this vote of no confidence for the board. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Dominic Odegaard, born and raised here in Watsonville. I want to first off say thank you for doing your job. This is taking time out of your day, your evening, and it's a sacrifice, and just want to let you know that we all recognize it, and thank you for it. Concerning this agenda, I just want to affirm and utter the same thing we've been saying, that this is a complete waste of our time. We have full faith in you, Ms. Flores, and you've been doing a great job. And just based off of last meeting, it seems that there's only one here, a part of the board, who's really, I would say, I don't have faith in. And you guys seem to be doing your job with respect and courtesy. And so I just want to, thank you for that. And again, just want to say no on this agenda.
Alex Solano, I just wanted to reiterate the same exact thing we've all been saying. At the end of the day, it's just silly, silly to waste everybody's time, taxpayer money. Like, it's just silly, right? So, yeah. Also, I think civility should be, it's good. It's a good thing, We shouldn't interrupt each other. We shouldn't just, be yelling at each other. Right? So, just think it's a good thing.
Gil Stein once again, and I want to thank the members of the board, including Mr. Medina, for the time that they serve on the board. It is a difficult job. I think that the vote of no confidence should never have come up, quite honestly. I didn't support every vote that the president and vice president of this board made. That's not really the point. I think that they serve with respect. And when I look at both of them in particular, the word that comes out to me is integrity. And I think that they are trying to do the best job that they could possibly can under very difficult circumstances, both based on what's going on with the district itself and the finances, what's going on with the federal government and ICE and things like that, and also from a particular member who tends to be disruptive. In fact, that's what he calls himself, the disruptor. So I think you both had something to learn when you took over in January, and I think you're doing a good job in improving and making this board run more efficiently, and I wish you the best of luck, and I certainly hope that this vote does not succeed. Thank you.
Eli Davies, I keep hearing from individuals who want to bring a lot of religion into this, which there is freedom of religion, as a reminder. Oh, this is a waste of time. This is a waste of time. Trustee Medina has tried to get a stance against ICE from this leadership. And I think it's relevant that we just saw in Lookout that ICE has visited the county 7 times this year. And that is a thing that needs to be coming from leadership. We also saw some lack of professionalism in the sacking of Allison Hanks Sloan at Aptos High that a lot of people were very unhappy about. And so I see the way that things have turned out here with the 6 of you and how the votes are going. So there's nothing to say about the vote itself on my end, but I just wanted to say that Trustee Medina, if you look at actual items and policies, speaks for the community, thinks about what the community needs. To call him the divisive one is really coming from a place of not knowing the intricacies of what's happening here, and also this idea of this is a waste of time. Have you seen history that it was school boards who were constantly, resisting orders to stop segregation? Like, we need people in power who will resist injustice. And just like there is a lot of racism that we saw last meeting, and it's the same sort of patronizing thing that is being put upon Trustee Medina tonight, that y'all need to know what you're doing.
Gabriel Barraza, Area 5. And I always find it amusing that people who want to preserve the status quo and systems that are unjust and are not serving the community always tend to hide behind civility and respect. These are the people that love Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. now. But at the time when he was preaching his word, we're calling him a dirty communist or a socialist or a coon. Respectability, civility, yes, that's more important than justice for some people. Everyone here has been doing their jobs to the best of their ability. I think that some of the people here have more ability than others. And that will be determined in the next election cycle, and we can see what happens. But disruption to systems that are complacent, that are not meeting people's needs, is important. And it scares people. It scares people who have power, just like ethnic studies scares people who have power, because it is a way of studying systems that do not serve the whole, that serve the people at the top people at the top of the hierarchy, which we shouldn't have. Society shouldn't be built on hierarchy. They should be built on cooperation. The member of the CSA, or the talked about solidarity and collective action. I thought people's heads were going to explode on this side of the room, because collectivism is against individualism, which keeps us fighting against each other and keeps us from seeking justice for the whole. And I hope you guys all remember that.
Good evening, board. I'm Dr. Barraza, and I have been disappointed with the leadership because I see a lot of, unlike some of the people here who've only been to 2 meetings, I've been to these meetings for the last 2 years. And to see some of the things that the previous president was doing and have you repeat them was really disappointing. Like, why do we have police officers here? We don't need police officers here. They should be out in the city patrolling, not in here. That's a waste of resources. There's an emergency. They have 2 officers that are short right now because of this. So I find that ridiculous. Like, to me, it's like you bring them here to intimidate people, yet you want kids to not feel intimidated. That is such a contradictory message. So we don't need them here. We haven't had to need them. If we need them, we can call them. They do not need to be here. I think it's a waste of resources. Also, it's like, and, President Flores, you're one of the people that never responds to emails. You're one of the few. Unlike Mr. Medina, Trustee Medina, he responds to every email. And I really appreciate that. I appreciate that about you too, Dr. Navarro, although I won't write to you anymore. But yeah, I appreciate that you do respond to emails. And that's part of leadership, is engaging with the community. You seem like you don't want to engage with the community. Also, you've limited time. I mean, you used a lot of the same tactics. I hope that with this training that you went to, that this changes. But as of right now, I don't know. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. But as of right now, if there's a vote, I would vote for no.
I feel like many of the people attacking Trustee Medina, their newness just like hits me in the face. Like, I can hear that you guys haven't really been here that long and you're not fully paying attention. Another thing, and like partly this is because I think of like some of the unrest of times past, like with our previous board president, and a lot of it came because she decided to suppress the rights of the public to speak. Similarly, when Trustee Medina was wrongfully suppressed in, making motions and the like, we had the same kind of thing. So really, that means that the cause of the disruption, the root cause, was not Trustee Medina. It was actually our board leadership. I know you have a tough job, Board President Flores. I appreciate that. I also think there's been times that Trustee Medina has been needling too much, including to staff. And so but I also remember that when his first big bad move in my eyes, he apologized for it the next time. And then also he's been attacked in levels I've never seen, like that censure vote, the audacity of it. I refrained from commenting on a board member's comment on social media where they said, hey, blah, 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 Medina, you're involving kids in politics. And then this trustee tagged the student trustee in that post. And just the hypocrisy and the audacity of it really hit me. So I think that we do maybe need some changes. I'm fine to, I have faith in Flores. I'm okay to keep you as president, but I think maybe it's time to balance it a little bit, have you be on the agenda setting committee. I'm an elected member. Also, I do appreciate apologies. So I feel like he is due an apology because that censure motion was hypocritical on so many levels. On most of those metrics, other trustees here are a bigger problem. Also, the status, I would say he's one of the more solution-oriented people, and people might not disrupt they might go with the status quo, but the status quo hasn't exactly been solution-oriented. Thank you.
I also have been coming here for I don't know, almost 2 years. Wow, I've never done something so consistent, but this is very important. because these are where the decisions are made for our students, which I am very passionate about. And I've seen so many things that are not just on this board, and it's hard to come to these meetings and feel motivated. I feel like I'm not being heard. Not only me, but a lot of this community. You know, Gabe, tú sigue ese tambor, el corrido de la gente. Tú sigue haciendo lo que tengas que hacer para estar con la gente. Tú estás en lo bien, tú estás en los derechos de la gente, tú sigue peleando por lo que tú crees. No te dejes de lo que esta gente diga. Tú eres un líder en nuestros ojos. We're with you. And they talk about getting rid of bilingual education. Well, they're going to go home and replay this video and find out what I said.
Are there any more public comments? Okay, seeing none, I will now bring this back. Sorry?
You already called me. I just was being respectful. So this podium goes up and down. It's really hard to focus. Just letting you know. Because I saw lots of people, they can't even put your hands on it, and then you lose your place. Okay, so anyways, I just want to stand against the vote of no confidence against Olivia Flores. Obviously, I'm a new person, haven't been here a bunch of times, but I know what I saw last time. And what I saw last time was clearly harassment, speaking over people, being disrespectful. Now, I'm all for bringing righteousness and justice, but you got to speak the truth in love. And that was not loving the way you addressed the president the last time. I think that it's hard to understand if you're fighting for something, but you're also tearing other people down. The reality is we're all made in the image and likeness of God. We all we bear his image. And so every person, no matter whether they're black, brown, white, yellow, red, whatever their background is, they are important to God. And we need to be respectful to each other around that reality, because we're disrespecting God by disrespecting each other. We used to sing a song in Sunday school when I was a kid. Jesus loves the little children, all the children of the world. Red, yellow, brown, black, and white. They are precious in his sight. Jesus loves the children of the world. I would like to just see more working together rather than tearing each other down. And I believe that's what's best for the kids, because that's what we're all here for, is for the kids. I really want to just see that change happen, and I want to see it soon so we can actually see this move forward and you guys accomplish the task that you've been given and the trust that you've been given by the public. Now, I'm not perfect. None of us are perfect. We can all say we're sorry. Maybe we mishandled something, but we need to be like the spirit of joy and the spirit of encouragement and try to get each other to work together rather than just attacking people. And so, I'm just praying that will shift and the atmosphere will shift and we'll get off of the harassing and the speaking over people. Thanks for hearing me. Appreciate it.
Are there any public comments? Okay, seeing none, I will now bring it back to the board for a motion. Do we have a motion?
We could comment on this, correct?
Yes, but
So I'd like to
I'm going
comment.
with the training that I was given by AJ, and he, asked that we get a motion first. Would you like to make a motion? Yeah, so according to Robert's rules, you're supposed to have
So
a
we're doing
motion.
Robert's rules now.
Well, I'm being coached. We've got a grant for some really amazing coaching, and I sat with my coach and went through every single action item, and I was advised to ask for a motion from the board.
Okay.
Now, yes, and then
I would like to move to actually table this agenda item.
okay, so I have a motion on the table to table this agenda item. Do I have a second? Trustee Carrasco has seconded. Okay, so now I will do a roll call vote. Trustee
Can I make comments first, or?
Okay. Yes, I'm sorry, yes.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So, Tonight, I rise with a deep obligation to the students, families, and educators who've trusted me to speak honestly and act boldly. What we're seeing is not just dysfunction, it's leadership that abandoned transparency, fairness, and core values of public service. That's why I placed the vote of no confidence on the agenda nearly, 2 months ago, a month ago? So I've been submitting these items since January, and they decide to put this on when Trustee Flynn isn't here, so they have the vote to shut it down. I hope we could see that. All right? This is not about a single moment. It's about a sustained pattern that no longer serves our district. And please let me explain. This is why we must act. Silencing of trustees and manipulation of the agenda. When I asked for a discussion about critical youth programs removed from Pajaro Valley High School, Pajaro Middle School, the leadership team blocked it. Yet they scheduled the SRO item long requested by Trustee Flynn at a meeting she could not attend, like today. That's not procedural oversight, that's political opportunism. Failure to hold the superintendent accountable. Superintendent Heather Contreras has repeatedly failed to respond to trustees' requests for public information, including questions about budget decisions, program removals. Instead of ensuring accountability, this board's leadership has enabled this pattern. Leaking and weaponizing of legal processes. Legal matters involving trustees have been selectively leaked to the press. Todd showed me the one that you forwarded, dude. So I'll be releasing that later on my social media page so you could see what she did, who she called, all that stuff. Meanwhile, legal counsel has been used not to protect the board as a whole, but to isolate and threaten dissenting members. This is a misuse of public resources. Disrespect behind closed doors. In closed session, I've witnessed and endured microaggressions and racially charged comments with zero acknowledgement or consequences from the board president. Silence in the face of this behavior is complicity. 5, inequitable treatment of school communities. Some schools have lost essential student supports without any public input, while others remain untouched. That's not shared sacrifice, that's selective neglect. And finally, 6, broken trust with labor, parents, and community. Instead of working in good faith with our union partners, families, and community organizations, this leadership has created a climate of mistrust and exclusion. They've sidelined those who speak up and alienated the very people we should be partnering with. We tell our students to stand up when something is wrong, so tonight I'm following that same advice. This vote of no confidence is not just a reaction, it is a necessary correction. When board leadership refuses to respect its own members, fails to uphold public trust, and governed by fear and favoritism, we must act. So I urge the board to table this item. Because the future of this district and our credibility of this board really depends on it. And I hope with that 2-day training that some changes come. But I doubt it worked because didn't you send me an email saying that I need professional help? Is that what you stated? Can you say that on the microphone?
Trustee Medina, is that it for your comments?
I just want to be sure that that's being said because it's stuff like that you write that you don't think I'm going to send out, but then I tell you to stop harassing me and then you email me through your personal work email because I told you I only want to discuss with you about board and school related items. I don't want to be your friend, dude. I don't know how many times I have to tell you that. So those are my comments. Thank you.
Any other comments from the board? Trustee Turley.
I would just like clarification. Are you asking for it to be tabled until the next meeting when Joy can be here, or you're asking just to have it removed?
I'm asking it to be tabled. I'm asking it to be tabled.
Should we ask for clarification or just if it's up to? As it is, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Any other comments? Okay, Trustee.
So one of the things that we've been working on with effective school boards is how to create an agenda that reflects our values and what we want to accomplish for students. Some of the issues are that we've had a really packed agenda and that we're still kind of trying to figure out how to set the agenda properly. We had a bunch of agenda requests, some of which are appropriate to be on a school board agenda, and some are really not appropriate to be on a school board agenda. They don't have anything to do with student outcomes, and they don't have anything to do with what students can do. So I know that a couple of members of the public had some comments about our response to the ICE raids. So I did want to give Dr. Contreras a few minutes because actually the district has done a ton of work on this in training not only the regular staff but summer staff to deal with ICE raids and what to do if anybody comes on campus. So this has not fallen on deaf ears. In fact, the school district has done a ton on this, so I'll give her a minute on that. Second of all, we've been trying to, the reason that we brought this item to the agenda now actually had nothing to do with Trustee Flynn, and had Trustee Flynn asked us to table this, we would have, but she did not. And so the reason we brought it on this, actually brought most of your agenda items, is because there wasn't a lot on the agenda, so we had room to get it in. So I just wanted to clarify that. Thanks.
Okay, so I also do want to let the public know that Trustee Flynn did not notify me that she would like us to table this. I did speak to her. And I'm sorry that you don't feel that we've done enough to protect our students from ICE, but I do believe we have. I do believe we've equipped our teachers and our admin, and we've done quite a bit to make sure and ensure that our students are protected, because their safety is important to all of us. I don't think resolutions do a whole lot to protect. It's kind of a trustee's way of patting themselves on the back. We've heard it from our PBFT several times that, resolutions without action behind them don't do a whole lot. And so our new training has actually advised us of that as well, that there are other more actionable things that we can do to protect our students and to ensure that what our values is being done in our school districts. And unfortunately, I'm sorry, I lost my train. I can't think of the word, but doing those resolutions isn't really the most impactful way to ensure that our students are protected. And what Dr. Contreras has done, which is training our admin and our teachers in what to do in a situation where we do have people trying to come on our campus. That is exactly what is tangible, and that is what's going to protect our students. And all of us up here only want that. We want that protection for our students. And I do apologize for having to limit public comment. Unfortunately, when we were having meetings till 2:30 a.m. and keeping all of our staff here, who then had to wake up the next day and lead our students, it just wasn't working out. We had to do what we had to do to try to contain our meetings and to get them back in order, so that we can get the work done that we need to get done, but in a timely and respectful manner to our staff that is here, and as well as our community. It's hard staying up till 2:30 in the morning. We do have WPD and legal here. That was, advised to us because of the direction that our board meetings have been going these last few months. They're there to protect all of us, the district. Specifically, we don't need more legal action brought against our district. We already are in a budget crisis. We don't not need any other anticipated litigations. But with that, I'm here because I care about the kids. And I told myself I wasn't going to really say much. I was going to let the votes speak for themselves. But I did want to just make those clarifications. So we do have a motion to table this agenda item, and we have a first and a second. If there's no more discussion, I will do a roll call. Okay, Trustee Medina.
I move the table. Yes.
Okay, Trustee Carrasco. Trustee Turley. Trustee Dodge.
No.
Trustee Navarro. And I also vote no. I'd like to just get this over with while we can, and hopefully not have to discuss this item again. So I will, yes?
I'd like to make a motion that we take a vote on 9.1.
Okay. Does he have a second? Your microphone was on?
I'll second.
Okay, so I have a first and a second to vote on a vote of no confidence in board leadership. I will now do a roll call vote. Trustee Medina?
No.
Trustee Carrasco?
I'm voting no on his motion.
He made a motion to vote on no confidence.
Oh,
Which you just want, okay.
No comment.
Yes, okay. Trustee Carrasco?
I'm gonna abstain.
Abstaining? Trustee Turley? No. Trustee Dodge?
Yes, I believe in your leadership, so I believe that's a no.
No. Trustee Navarro?
No.
And I also vote no. So that motion fails. 1, 5, 1, sorry. 1, 2, no. No, that motion fails. The vote of no confidence fails with a vote 1 and then 1, 2, 4, 1, 4, 1, 1.
And then point of clarification, we do have elections coming up, right, at the beginning of the year?
Yes, every December.
Every
Mhm.
December?
Every December we will vote. Mhm.
Be out, students. Be out for that, all right?
Thank you. And now I will move us on to item 9.2. This is the board consideration for changing board meetings. This, I don't have much of a report except for that it has been requested that we move our meetings from Wednesday nights. So do we have any public comments on this item?
We do. Brandon Johnson, Gil Stein, Brandon Denise, and Marilyn Garrett.
Can we give some more context to this beforehand? Okay.
So once again, our speakers are Brandon Johnson, Gil Stein, Brandon Denise, and Marilyn Garrett.
Thank you once again. You guys obviously serve the public, you serve the people. You make a decision on a calendar. You don't change the calendar last minute and mess up everybody's schedule. So I would encourage to keep the dates that you've already agreed to the same, and so that people can be here. They put it on their calendar, including the staff, including yourselves. So I think a last minute change of the meeting date is not a good idea. Yeah, so that's my point. Thank you.
I've been on the Gilstein, I've been on a number of boards, and normally a date is picked and everybody knows well in advance what those days are. And every once in a while it has to be changed, but generally I think it's a bad precedent to be switching dates. Now, if you are going to switch dates, I'd like the board to take notice that Yom Kippur, the holiest day in the Jewish calendar, actually falls on a Wednesday. Now, I don't know if it's the Wednesday that the board meets, but if it does, that's something that has never, as far as I know, has never been considered. And that's actually one of the problems. If you start moving it, say, because one trustee has a calendar conflict, then you might move it to a day that another trustee has a calendar conflict, or members of the staff have a conflict. And it's not exactly herding cats, but to try to find an acceptable day when, for as long as I can remember, it was every other Wednesday, unless it's a special meeting. I don't see any reason why that shouldn't be kept. I don't know how long. I know Mr. Medina is the one who made the request because he has a calendar conflict. I don't know how long it was, before today that he knew that he might not be available on Wednesdays. But I think that we all, as part of being responsible adults, if we know about it far enough in advance, we should make that request or adjust the calendar in another way. And like I said, I think it's a bad precedent to start doing it because you could really end up with a lot of trouble down the road with, well, you did it for him, how come you don't do it for me? And we don't want that. We've got enough trouble as it is trying to work together. Thank you.
Brandon, Denise, I just wanted to speak to this because I am concerned that we already have issues where some trustees' attendance can be a little bit spotty. So I'm a little worried that by not moving, are we going to run into quorum issues where if we know one of our members can't make it on Wednesday and then life happens, like, are we going to come to a meeting and it's going to have to be canceled? So I would like the board to weigh that in making your decision. I would like to see it remain, but if it has to move, I know in negotiations, at the end of every session, when we were planning our next session out, the scheduling part was almost as intense as the negotiations. We do have in our contract with the district that I want to say the second Monday of every month is reserved. You guys can't schedule meetings during that time because we have that for our site rep council. So I would just ask not to have the meetings on Mondays. Don't do it on Fridays either.
It seems this is weird, isn't it? Seems very problematic to me to change the date. That school board meetings have been forever on Wednesdays, and there would always be a conflict with another date with other people's schedules. Other school boards often meet on Wednesday, and then there are like city council meetings or Capitola city council meetings on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I think changing it for one person, I assume we're talking about Joy Flynn. Is that why she's not here or not? I don't know. Oh, it's you. Okay. Well, you're one of the best advocates for children and justice, in my opinion. So I don't know, it just seems very, very difficult. And we need you here, in my opinion. Thank you, thank you.
Eli Davies.
Yeah, Eli Davies. And I think what we're seeing here tonight when we have 6 board members, that this causes a huge problem in actually getting anything done. I respect all the feedback about, things have already been set and it makes things inconvenient. And at the same time, what's really inconvenient is not having the amount of trustees that you need to actually make a night of a board meeting useful. And, as regards to a comment about if you do it for one person, I mean, we know that they're not going to give Gabriel Medina special favors. So I don't think that's even part of the discussion. And I do think that it should move forward such that a democratically elected trustee can continue to show up at board meetings to get the job done.
Okay, so seeing no more comments, I will now bring it back to the board for a motion.
Can I make a comment?
Sure.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
Cool. All right. She's going to vote no, I could already tell. Yes, I did request this. I wanted to put it on public record so people could know that I'm actually an educator at Cabrillo College. We're actually launching our first course, and unfortunately, right, for my Wednesdays, that was the only time the lab was available for my class to teach that, which actually consists of a lot of students from the video courses that happened at Aptos, the one that they cut, and the one from PV High School and Watsonville High School. So I'll be seeing a few of those students there, and we're also trying to get it dually enrolled. So unlike folks here, I'm actually an educator and I teach. So I wanted to request that we move this to Wednesday because look at how they're doing this vote. They're going to vote no so they could have their votes, right, and get things how they want. That's why they put this up. That's why they don't want me here. So just look at who's going to be voting on this, how they're voting, because the one thing they've been trying to do is get rid of me on this board. All right, and this is a great way for them. And unfortunately, we live in a capitalist society where I am not in control of my schedule. So unless y'all are going to pay me to be here, it's just not going to happen. And I apologize to that. And I want to thank the community for weighing in on that. That's why I wanted this in here for transparency, unlike this board who doesn't really do that. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And Gabe, I do just want to say that you requested this, and I got it on the board as quickly as possible. Working with AJ, every request that comes to my email goes directly to him. That's why it's on here tonight. So
I wish you would have taken that like 4 or 5 years ago when you were elected, because this could have ran a lot more smoother. And I recommended this book, by the way,
yes,
a while
thank
ago.
you. Thank you. They've been great for us. Trustee Turley?
I feel like this is one of those rare items that we should discuss first, just so we can get some ideas if there are other days that work. I have to agree with Brandon that Fridays are no. For me, Mondays and Wednesdays are the best. I wasn't aware of the conflict that we might have with our union partners. Tuesday, I feel like, is a conflict with the city of Watsonville, because sometimes we're going there. So for me personally, that leaves Wednesday, Thursday are the days that would be potentials. And I do acknowledge that we sometimes have a difficult time getting all 7 of us here. And if we know one of us is not going to be here regularly, it makes it that much more difficult for us to get quorum. So I would hope that we would at least be open to discussing other possibilities. I'd also like some input from our superintendent about, there are people who work for the district who have to be here, and are there days of the week, besides Friday, that would not work for staff? I have to assume staff would think that was a horrible idea to be here every Friday night until 2 or 3 in the morning, right?
Okay. Trustee Turley, is that it for your comment? Thank you. Trustee Navarro, and then I'm going to have Dr. Contreras answer. And then
So I just want to, the public may already know this, but our board meeting schedule is known in, was it December or early January of last year? The organizational meeting in December. So that was, what, almost 8 months ago? I actually, as a person who also has to get a paycheck and work, gave my schedule request a year in advance to make sure that I had all the board meetings off, and made sure that I was not working AM the next day, since these meetings tend to go till 2:30. And since my schedule is already set through the end of October, I will probably not be able to make certain meetings if we change the date.
thank you. Trustee Dodger, do you want me to have Dr. Contreras? Okay, Dr. Contreras?
Actually, can I add clarification? This isn't for the whole year. This is just for fall. So we could go back in springtime to the regular one. And I have told them already that I can't do it for the following fall, since I'll be reassigned there. And if you knew how education works, you don't really know when you're assigned something. So do your research before, girl. Thank you.
I said, do you not tell your employer when you're not available?
Oh, we do, but it's not based on me. It's based on the
Okay.
students and availability of the computer lab. If you would work in higher education, you know, it
Trustee
kind
Medina,
of works
the
like
only thing
that.
she was saying is she already cleared with her employer to have Wednesdays available, and the other days are not going to work. That's all she was saying. We don't need this back and forth.
Tell her.
Trustee Contreras, or sorry, Dr. Contreras? So would there be a conflict of interest with changing it from Wednesdays, which has historically been done for our school district, to for our staff, who our calendars also put out a year in advance?
So when we build our master calendar, which that's one thing that when I came, we worked towards, because we were not really great at scheduling all our meetings and having consistent scheduling for them. So the process that we've used since I came on board was to build everything around the board meeting first. So all of our meetings for our school sites, for our admin, for my cabinet, for our parents, like DLAC, DAC, all of those meetings are built around the board meeting, so that we don't create a conflict for parents having to choose, like, I want to go to the board meeting, oh, but there's a school site council meeting. So we try to make sure all of the sites have meetings on like a Tuesday or a Thursday or like that. So I asked Cabinet in anticipation to collect all of the site schedules and their meetings, as well as our calendar of meetings so we can kind of look at that. And then the other thing is having meetings at the chamber. We would have to schedule with them to see their availability, because we have them booked out. Tonight, they didn't have availability, so we'd have to work with them. So if we are choosing to move it, I don't think tonight we'd be able to choose the dates, because we will have to work with the chamber or else decide to just have them here on different nights. And I think that we probably won't be able to have a consistent, like it's always going to be Tuesday. I think we will then have to be like, okay, we could do it on this Tuesday, but the next one might have to be on that Thursday, just because of different things going on in the district, like DLAC meetings or DAC meetings, unless we just reschedule. So it's going to take some moving parts. So I don't know that we can identify dates now. I don't know, Claudia, if you had any. We talked about it a lot, and one of the things that we did say. Sorry about Fridays, Brandon, but when we were looking at it, like, I know, we said, well, what would be the easiest day to move it to? And then we said, okay, well, Fridays would be the next easiest. But then, I know, exactly, it's football season, and I actually require cabinet to go to the football games for safety purposes and response.
We could have it at the football games. I'm cool with that.
I wouldn't mind that too. It might actually be kind of fun. So anyway, that's just kind of where we're at. If we are selecting to move them, I don't know that we would be able to quite identify a consistent other day. It would be moving them around, and I don't think we could do that tonight, because it might be really time consuming.
Yeah, I think we should all sit on it, but
Hold
I think
on, Trustee Medina.
Thursday or
I'll get it
Friday,
back to you.
yeah.
Everyone needs a chance to talk.
I think what we'd have to do is probably come to the next meeting in 2 weeks with a calendar of suggested dates then for going forward, if we were deciding to change it.
I'm sorry, you've had the time. Public comment had their time. Right now it's board discussion time. Thank you. Trustee Dodge?
From what I recall, we make the calendar in December, correct? Okay. So with that being said, I'd like to make a motion on 9.2 where we take a vote.
Okay, so you are making a motion to,
Even on Wednesdays, I think is what you're wanting to say.
okay. So can you rephrase that, please?
I'd like to make a motion that we keep it for Wednesdays, because from what I recall, we make a master calendar when we do reorganizational meetings in December, and then it's something we can talk about.
Okay, thank you. And I would also like to.
How many meetings have you
Trustee
missed?
Medina, you were not called on. Thank you. I also did not have a chance to mention that, similar to Trustee Turley, how she said there's days that work best for her. I've dedicated Wednesdays to completely school board related items. That's when we tend to do agenda setting. That's when we tend to, I have my one-on-ones. Everything's on Wednesdays. I do have a conflict of interest on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And so I just wanted to put that out there because I didn't have a chance to do that before a motion was taken. So we have a motion to keep our board meetings on Wednesdays. Do we have a second?
I second.
Okay, so we have a first and a second. I will do a vote. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
I'm going to vote no, just because I would like it to come back next week so we can have a discussion. So we're really giving us a fair opportunity. I'd also like to point out that I believe the class that Mr. Medina will be teaching ends in December. So it's just this quarter.
It's just the fall, yeah.
So I'd like to think about that when we come back in August.
Okay, so all those opposed? 3, okay. So that motion fails. 3301. Okay, Dr. Contreras?
Yeah, just clarification. Would you like me to come back with a prepared calendar, like a proposal, like we can maybe make it work this way then?
Yeah, I would appreciate that too. And can we also get attendance by trustees as well for this past iteration? Because if some people aren't making it consistently, maybe we should move the meeting. So just wanted to throw that out there.
Okay, so we are going to move on from this item and sure.
So I feel like it's a lot of work on the superintendent to come up with an entire new potential schedule until we have a quorum that wants to actually look at changing the meeting date. I think that's a lot of work for not really much effort. So before, I think the first item should be, are we going to move the meeting time? And if we don't have the votes to move the meeting time, we should not put that work on the superintendent to come up with a potential schedule.
I do see that, and I do agree with that. She does have a lot on her plate. So would you like to make a new motion?
So if we want to table the motion and come back to our next meeting or whatever meeting that Trustee Flynn is at, then we can revisit it at that time. But I don't think making the superintendent come up and jump through hoops is worth of her time right now. She has a lot of other things on her plate to do. Yes, so I'm making a motion to just keep the issue as is, yes or no to change our meeting date, and then we can talk about when to change it later.
But didn't we take a vote already?
Yeah, we made a vote to change it to Wednesdays, so that failed. We can, later bring back this item. This motion, the motion failed, so there was nothing has been done on this. So
Point of clarification, can you please ask our attorney what's going on right now? Because the vote was just taken. She's making a motion again, is what I'm hearing?
No, I'm trying to figure out if we're tabling this or moving it to the next meeting or what we're doing. So Bryce, can you chime?
What say you?
So the item is on the agenda, and the board is at liberty to make any motion it wants about the item that's on the agenda. And if it's not limited to one motion, and the motion fails, and then it has to make a different motion.
So then can I make a motion that we do not move our meetings from Wednesday?
That's what we just did.
Oh.
yes, I do hear what you're saying. So you would like us to bring this back at a future meeting?
No, she's trying to shut it down.
No, she's not. She's actually would like, she's not. What she was saying was she would like a firm, yes, we are going to consider moving the meeting before Dr. Contreras and her cabinet put in all the work to figure out their calendars, which would also include all of us as well. I mean, Carol already said only Mondays and Wednesdays. Yes. I mean, I know I'm only Mondays and Wednesdays.
But I think we already voted. I mean, maybe this is something we could talk about.
Yes, so that motion
Then we
failed.
Yeah, so if we
Yeah.
want to bring it back, do we need a quorum to bring it back, or?
I don't believe we do. Can we?
So if there's not a particular motion or vote, if this goes back to agenda,
Okay.
like there's nothing that doesn't have to come back, it doesn't come back, it's on the agenda.
Okay.
I think this is something that should go back to agenda committee.
Okay.
Yes, I agree. All right. All right, so now I will move us on to item 9.3. A vote on a timeline for adoption of effective school board implementation. So I am in charge of this report, and if we can get this, so with our work with effective school boards, this is our 2-year timeline to get us to be where we need to be. And there's a lot of work that needs to be done, and it needs to be done in a specific order and in a timely manner. So if you look, this is a draft, but right now we're going to adopt this draft. It is a living calendar, I should say. Like, we will probably need to make changes occasionally. There are some items at the very end that aren't items that need to be done, but that are not in the calendar. So you'll see our next item will be to have an ad hoc committee, the implementation team. So we will leave it up to them to then figure out the best place for these items to go. But for right now, just to be able to get the ball moving and get us on track to where we need to be, I'm asking that the board adopt this draft implementation timeline implementation from effective school boards. Thank you. Do we have public comment to this?
We do. Brandon Denise, Chris Webb, and Marilyn Garrett.
Oh, hello again. What I just want to express with this is I just want to make sure that we're not overcorrecting too much and trying to go from 0% of our time spent talking about student outcomes to 100%. That's just not realistic. I know, but if you scrolled up on like page 2, it looked like there were different percentages for goals. I haven't read it all, but I don't want us to overcorrect. And there are times when the district will do a training and labor unions will choose not to participate because we don't want it to be seen that we're, validating this. I didn't take that approach. Chris and I participated in this training the last 2 days because we want to learn how to speak a common language. But again, I'm just cautioning against overcorrecting because often our working condition issues are directly related to student learning outcomes. So if we want to have a student outcome where we're focusing on mental health and student advocacy, but we're reducing counselors at the middle school, you're not going to get to that outcome. So I just don't want this to be weaponized against the unions, that when we're up here talking about layoffs and protecting our working conditions, that, oh, well, that's not a student outcome. Because I trust me, I can connect the dots there. So just be cautious against overcorrecting. One thing that I learned from this training was the definition of integrity. I'm still wrestling with that because it's doing what you've allowed people to expect of you. And sometimes I think acting with integrity is maybe veering away from that because you have a strong reason behind that. But I did commit to containing my inner fire and not going scorched earth on you guys. And having said that, if you don't make the decision to put our counselors back in middle schools, I am going to have a hell of a time containing that fire. Gemini.
I want to thank the superintendent for bringing this item. I do hope it passes. I feel like this is a meaningful effort to move the district forward, and I feel all the trustees should get this training. I feel like it'll make for a more proactive board, more likely to achieve their goals. And one thing I had communicated in those trainings was that the longer meetings are a product of changing the frequency of the meetings. And you'll notice that in the summer here where we have shorter meetings, we're meeting more frequently. Also, that training led me to believe that part of the reason for lengthy meetings and discord with the public is because trustees are not doing enough community outreach between meetings. And on that point, I would just point out that the closest person to delivering on that front is Trustee Medina. And actually, with his holding town halls, we're really only like one trustee or a board blessing away from scoring points. So community, I hope you recognize that. Oh, also, in reviewing those minutes, I just want to say that I've looked at minutes for the district where I live, a bigger one over the hill, and our minutes are excellent. So I think that's credit to Eva, or I'm not sure who, but our minutes are above average. So thank you for that. Student outcomes, I feel like we'll be better if we are stakeholder informed. So that's part of the reaching out that Medina does, and others will hopefully join. But I feel like also that's something that needs to be understood by our management, because I say this as somebody who was actually dealt with the hostile environment because I was running a student leadership and surveying students and making stakeholder informed decisions, and because I protected a program at Renaissance that was doing that. A program that was wrongly discarded. So I feel like when I heard that, it just reminded me of like, oh yeah, that's like the CRE training they never got. Oh yeah, that's like the SEL training some people got and others needed. So I feel like that's just been a consistent message. Let's be stakeholder informed in our decision making. Thank you.
We want to improve student outcomes. That can't be done in a toxic environment. And your top priority, in my opinion, and I think a doctor would agree with this, is to have non-toxic educational spaces, environments, and I want to address a few of those. The pesticides, huge numbers used in this county, causing all kinds of adverse effects. I'm for banning the pesticide corporations. Organic farmers, ecological farmers know how to do it. Another toxic exposure is vaccines, and reading from learntherisk.org from a document called Vaccines for Health or Profit. Vaccine side effects, chronic health issues skyrocketing. The toxic ingredients listed in the previous section of this book are linked to numerous health issues that are now common among Americans, especially children. In fact, half of all American children now have chronic health issues. Their numbers have skyrocketed directly in line with the increase in the number of vaccinations given. Is it a coincidence that vaccine ingredients have been linked to some of these skyrocketing health issues, such as childhood cancer, seizures, asthma, and food allergies? The wireless microwave radiation Wi-Fi is known to be detrimental and affect learning and cognitive skills and causing functional impairment on every level. Next one, we need to stop the lithium battery energy storage operations, planned installations planned for
Thank you, Marilyn.
our county.
Thank you.
They have toxic smoke,
That's your
ash,
time, Marilyn.
dangerous
Thank you.
chemicals. So I would ask you, with student outcome, this is a top priority.
I agree this is a super
Thank
top
you.
priority, but probably at a city council meeting, probably not board work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marilyn.
You're talking out of order. Next up, we have Natalie Schwartz.
I might be a little off topic, but I will say, Olivia, I'm so glad you won your seat because I ran against you. And I see, boy, I get to have these nights at home. I commend you all, every single one of you, for what you do. And it seems like there's a lot of time that's spent because there doesn't seem to be the harmony that you guys need to work on to get things done for the students. And I think that that's the part that's most important. It's what we're here for. When I ran, there were things that I'll try to talk faster. That I found out, I was very surprised. I talked to teachers that were English teachers that ended up teaching a math class because somebody wasn't there to do it. There's a lot of things we need to do for our kids. And honestly, and y'all do, I mean, beyond what probably most people here are doing with their time in the evenings, being away from your families, having to not be able to go anywhere on Wednesday nights. But there's problems at the school. And if you guys honestly don't get it together, I think you all need to go on a retreat for a week out in the wilderness, get rid of your cell phones, and get it together, because we've got bigger problems on the campus. I mean, we really do. And it's not just not just the kids, it's the teachers too. It's the fact that a lot of kids, and maybe I'm speaking out of turn, but the what they normally excel with to be able to graduate, those things were dropped through COVID. And a lot of those students, what that means is they're not ready for college. They're not ready for junior college. So these are the problems you guys should be talking about. I think part of that budget should go to some retreat for you guys just to get together, let your hair down, not have an audience. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Olivia.
Okay. So seeing no other comments, I will now bring this back to the board. Do we have a motion on this?
Can I make a comment?
Sure.
Are we not doing comments anymore? This is wild.
I'm sorry.
After the motion?
Yes.
That is so
yes.
weird.
I'm so sorry. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so I need to ask-
I'll respect that rule and wait then.
Okay, so do we have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to appoint agenda item 9.3.
So that's a motion to approve this timeline
Yes.
of, okay.
I'll
this
second,
implementation
and
timeline.
now it's time for discussion, is that correct?
Yes, so we have a first and a second. Trustee Medina, would you like to comment?
Yeah, I read through this. It's great. A lot of it was in the book. That only cost $10, but I understand that how much was paid for this? $60,000 for the 2-day retreat?
It's a 2-year.
It's 2 year.
And it is, the way it's designed is we're paying for a lot of things within that 2 years. So that 2-day workshop that the board members attended, and then the 2-day workshop that the 40 people attended, we can do that 2-day workshop over and over and over again as many times as we want throughout the community for the 2 years,
Oh, so it could happen anytime.
anytime.
Cool.
And with as many people, they like to cap it at 40. They recommend it's most effective with 40.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they don't like to go much smaller than
Well, it's better suited for intimate groups, right? From my understanding and reading the material.
I mean, they don't want to do 2 people,
Oh, yeah, more than that, of course.
and they don't really
Yeah.
want to go above 40. But
Yeah.
so you can, what we are investing in is what they call a smorgasbord. So we can continue to do this as many times as we want throughout those 2 years, as well as that encompasses one-on-one board coaching, as well as one-on-one coaching for myself through that, and then additional supports that we might want or need throughout that they'll design for us, which includes some of the things that are on this timeline.
Yeah, when
The
I read
cost of
his
that-
books, yeah, it's a lot of the information that I see on there.
The cost of that was $180,000,
180,000?
and it was paid for through grant funding that can only be spent on professional development.
Okay, got it. Cool. I just wanted to get that. And I think this is great. One thing that I would like to amend in this is because I had planned for this board not to vote for me to be here. So I was reading our ed code, and it looks like that we could actually add up to 3 board trustees. And I think that would be more beneficial to have 2 additional trustees to kind of cancel out some of the adult focused words that are being said. So I think with this, can we input or amend an implementation plan to add another 2 trustees? So that way we have a total of 3 from the high schools. So I'd like to see that. And by the way, that's Education Code 35012, Section D.
That would be something not on the agenda.
No, I'm sorry.
Trustee Medina, did you skip to 9.4 with the implementation
Yeah,
team?
the next item is going to be to discuss.
Is that the one you're referring to?
Oh, no, I thought this was the one that we're going to approve with the goals, right?
Timeline.
No, this is just the timeline.
Oh,
And
yeah,
then
I
the
wanted to see if we could
next one-
factor that into the timeline.
So the next one is three members. We could always have up to 3. We can't have 4 because then we'd have a quorum.
Yeah.
So
we
yeah,
need
for the
3.
next item, we will be discussing that next, and that would have 3.
So this vote is only to approve
Yeah,
this timeline.
Okay.
As proposed right now, with the idea that we may need to amend it and make adjustments.
Okay, so that is
and then
flexible. Okay.
Yeah, and then 9.4 is for the team that will help to keep it on track.
Okay, cool. I just thought we had to put it in here so that way it's like, okay, we're
yeah.
focusing on that. But we could always modify it. Great, thank you.
Okay. Do we have any other board comments? Okay, I would like to just address the 50-50 item. The effective board training has, really encouraged us to make sure our board has a minimum of 50%, student outcomes. And we looked at a few of our meetings. We looked at one specifically, and it was one of our 2:30 meetings, and I think it had like 1, because I think we had five minutes that we gave the LCAP. So other than that, the rest of that board meeting was not focused whatsoever on student achievement. So that is one thing that we are going to hopefully be changing and, focusing in on. So this is just simply to approve this tentative timeline so that we can get going, get started. So we have a motion on the table and we have a second. All those in favor? Oh, sorry. Trustee Navarro wanted to make a comment. I'm sorry.
So I just wanted to say that this was, it looks a little intimidating, but we can adjust it. But I think it gives us some goals moving forward. Hopefully all of the board members can complete the training because it was really useful. And I think it's important that we all get on the same page and have an understanding of what is board work and what is not board work. Because, when we looked at our March meeting, as you said, it was like 5 minutes of student-centered outcomes. And Brandon, I'm hearing you. We're not going to 100%, but our goal is 50. And we're so far away from there. And the other things are our legal obligations, and our partnerships with, labor staff. But really, we need to get these meetings back to focusing on students. And we spend a lot of time doing things that don't focus on students. So.
Okay, so now I have a motion on the table and a second. So all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion passes 6-0-0-1. Okay. Now that brings us to item 9.4, a vote on effective school board's implementation team membership. So this team will work closely with AJ and Greg to make sure all these items get placed on our calendar and the order. And like I said, there are some items at the end that need to get put in there at some point. So this team will be working, I could probably say several hours with AJ and Greg to make sure that we get to all these items. We didn't look at it before, but in August alone, we're behind already with July. So everything that was in July, we're going to attack and try to get a little bit of August done as well. So do we have any public comments to this first?
Yes, there is Chris Webb.
Regarding the money point, I just want to share that I was not paid to be there, and neither was CWA Stewart Floor, and I'm pretty sure Brandon wasn't. So people were donating time for the cause. Also, I feel you on the motions prior to comments. I do notice that in other districts that maybe are more efficient but less responsive, they do that. Sometimes I feel like it's good for routine items, but for more contentious items, it feels anti-democratic. And for this membership team, my recommendation would be our board president, Trustee Medina, and some peacemaker type like Turley, Carrasco, or Flynn. And I want Medina there because I want somebody who's leading on the stakeholder involvement front, but then also somebody who I have faith to defend us people in the trenches who are doing that stakeholder work and sometimes getting fought. Sometimes for me, the integrity thing has been, my principal would say, not the current one, but the principal would say something and then it would be like, oh yeah, we're going to do restorative justice. And then one of the people who quits is the person they hired to do restorative justice because she knew it was not really holding up. And one of the things that got weird with that recently or last year was as I left Renaissance, I had a UCSC student reach out to me about testing the water there, and people who know this community know that's been an issue for me for a long time. And so I was like, yeah, come through. And then, but at the time she was going to come, I wasn't there, and the new teacher was too afraid to go through with it. I was able to get somebody else to do it, some veteran teacher, but that just speaks to the culture and why I want somebody who's going to have my back in this team. So, thank you.
I like the last sentence where it says the selected members will help ensure an alignment, communication, and progress throughout the year. What if we were to get 3 board members that are experts that we make decisions on? Every single time we make decisions about the immigrants. What if we bring 3 board members that were immigrants in here are allowed to vote, that are allowed to run for office and represent the community that is not represented here, which is the immigration? What would it take to make a policy to allow those people to sit on this board to help make those decisions? Wow. That would be incredible, because you know what? More than 50% of our people in this town are immigrants, hardworking immigrants. What would that look like? They're the experts that we're making decisions for. Why can't we get them in here to sit on the school board that understand what this community is going through?
Okay, are there any other comments on this item? Oh, you've. Oh, so a motion on this item? No, so.
Well, it has to do with the agenda item.
Yeah, so for this is one item where I spoke with AJ, and it's not really appropriate for us to just go straight into a motion, because we don't know what 3 trustees would like to volunteer for this position. So we're going to do board comments first, board discussion first. So Trustee Navarro.
Okay. So first of all, I'm totally fine to not be on this committee. I'm on plenty of committees. I would ask the board to make sure that anybody that's on this committee has actually done the training for the committee, because otherwise they're not going to know how to do the implementation. And only, unfortunately, not all of us have done that. With the amendment that there are future training sessions coming up, but I don't think you can implement the work if you haven't actually learned how to do the work. No, it was more than the book.
Okay, I do hear what you're saying. Any other Trustee Medina?
As an elected official here who got over 1,000 votes and not appointed by somebody, I think we should also listen to the people who actually have the community behind them. And like you said, I did read that book. I made the recommendation. You went around telling people you read it and you recommend it, which is great. I love that I'm inspiring you to read. But at the same time, too, I think we do need somebody that the community trusts. I ran on a platform of students, of our labor, and making sure that they actually have a good say in this. And since I know Trustee Navarro is probably going to make sure that I'm not at these meetings so she could vote how she wants until we vote her out next November 2026. What area do you represent again? I can look it up? Cool. I hope others do too to run against her. So what was I saying before I was disrupted? What was that? 7. Thank you. So I would, since I know that I'm not going to most likely be able to be a part of the board meeting because of her, I would like to be a part of this. I will do my trainings. I've actually read a lot of the content, the videos. I've talked to AJ, who has told me a lot of things. So I love the pettiness of her bringing this on right now. So yes, I would like to be a part of that to represent the community that actually elected me and voted me in. Thank you.
Trustee Medina, if AJ and Greg do actually, because I didn't think about this coming up, but if they do have a suggestion that they would like for the 3 people to have gone through, would you be willing to commit to a future training? Because we are going to have another one where
Were you all told why I couldn't make the trainings?
No, I'm just asking.
Cool, because she makes a lot of assumptions, and she sent me a very disparaging message as to why I wasn't there, and I told her my grandma was in the hospital, and she still came at me. So I think we, actually, how about this? Why don't people who are actually elected be able to be a part of this, since they have the backing behind them? But yes, I am willing to take those trainings.
Thank you. Yes, because I mean, like I said, it didn't come up when I was speaking with AJ. Do we have any other volunteers who would like to be on this committee?
I'm interested.
I'm not sure if we asked Trustee Flynn if she was interested, but I guess that would disqualify her since she was appointed as well. So.
Okay, so right now we have Trustee Medina who has volunteered and Trustee Turley. Oh, sorry, Bryce?
I would make a motion that we table deciding who it's going to be because Trustee Flynn is not here. And
Trustee Flynn is interested, but of course can't vote because she's not here.
yeah, so because we don't have the full quorum here, and apparently we haven't figured out exactly what the guidelines are to who can serve on this committee, so I would go back to AJ and Greg, and I would assume that they would insist that whoever was going to serve on the committee took the training.
Now we're concerned about having all the members.
Okay, I know as far as who can serve on this committee, it's 3 board members. And as far as what they are going to be responsible to do is just work with Greg and AJ to help the implementation of the timeline, because we can't all 7 of us discuss that without violating Brown Act. And so they need to have an ad hoc committee that can then, maybe a member of that can bring it back to a board to then say, this is what the implementation team, similar to how the DLAC representative is, and, agenda setting is pretty much an ad hoc committee. Trustee Medina?
Yeah. I know we have elections in 2026. Does that mean that new board gets to come in and readjust?
Yes, so that's why this 2-day training that we can do. The next one, I believe we want to open it up to members of the community who tend to come to our meetings a lot, and other staff members. And so we're going to keep having them as long as there's an interest. Trustee Turley?
Trustee Flynn has a request that our attorney, when he's speaking, speak into a microphone so she can hear what's happening.
Okay, Trustee Dodge?
From what I recall, when we do committees, if there's like a spot for 3, any trustees that are interested, they're able to sign up. And if there's only 2, I thought I could believe, unless the lawyer says that we can't take nominations now, and maybe another trustee can apply later.
The only point I wanted to make was to be clear that, whenever there's a subcommittee, so the first thing is any subcommittee that has a majority or more would have to do Brown Act meetings. I think the intent here is to have a subgroup that'll sort of work with the trainers.
For example, there's 2, and then if any other trustee wanted to apply later on, they'd be able to sit in that 3rd spot.
Well, and that segues into the next point, which is the thing about any subcommittee is, like, a subcommittee cannot have actually any authority. Again, only the board can act, so they're just sort of facilitating communication and feedback back and forth. And so, to your point, if the board were to select 2 members right now to participate, the board can always decide to change that and make it 3, as long as they don't make it a majority, in which case it then has to do open meetings. And
thank you.
Okay, so this committee, I believe, will work closely with Greg and AJ for this whole 2 years. So it doesn't necessarily have to be, board president, because I'm not going to be that next year. And so did you say Trustee Flynn, she let you know she's interested? Okay, so yes. If you would like to make a motion for... I know, I don't feel good putting her on it without her.
She just texted me and said it was that she wanted to. She's interested. If it's on the big screen. I don't think I can do that. No, we could do that.
Add an additional one?
Could we say that the motion on the table is to implement an ad hoc committee for the I'm sorry, let me get so we're voting to implement the Effective School Board's implementation team with members Trustee Medina and Trustee Turley confirmed, and should Trustee Flynn like to be added later, she can make that choice.
At a meeting when she's busy.
She just texted me and said she would recommend if we could table that.
Okay.
Okay.
Table it? Okay.
Table the whole thing, or?
Just table it.
Okay. You sure?
We're free to listen.
Yeah.
That may
We
be
could do either way.
Want to make a motion to?
I'd like to make a motion that Trustee Medina with his word that he'll take the training, because I do think that's important, and myself be appointed to this committee, and that at our next meeting in August, we make a decision about the third member.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
I will vote aye if I get a commitment that you'll actually do the training at the
I
next
heard him
meeting.
commit to that.
I don't need to commit to you, but I will commit to you, Trustee Turley, because you're awesome.
Okay, so I have, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstaining? What, I didn't catch you.
What was her?
So she's in favor. So motion passes 6-0-0-1. Thank you.
It should be 3, it can't be 4, because that just complicates it too much.
Okay, so now I will move us on to item 9.5, the creation of an ad hoc committee for lowering the voter age. This report will be presented by Olivia Flores, Board President of Education, or Board of Education President. So this item has been requested by Trustee Medina, and after a long discussion with my coaching, and this is an item where we would have an ad hoc committee, and that ad hoc committee would be responsible for talking to the community and going through what would be required for this. This is not something that we would put on our district or our superintendent. So this would be completely trustee-led, and once you have your findings, you can request an item on the agenda to report findings. So I will. Okay, so let's see. Do we have any public comments to this? Okay, so for item 9.5, we have Maximiliano Barraza, Ixel Barraza, Omar D., Gabriel Barraza, Dr. Lourdes Barraza, Eli Davies, Emily Helbig, Elias Gonzalez, and Providence.
Good evening, Board. I'm here today to support the lowering the age to 16 years old. I'm glad that this idea is finally going to be explored with an ad hoc committee, because the students should be able to hold their trustees accountable for their actions. As a 16-year-old, I know it would be a game changer to be able to vote for board members, because I remember having to fight really hard just to be able to support people who represented me. I remember when my sister, myself, and many students from various schools advocated for the CRE contract for months on end because it was that important to us. What was the old board's reaction to these student voices? Indifference and even antagonism. This inspired my sister and I to participate in electing several of the new board members that are here on the board today. We went out canvassing and talking to people about what was important to us as students. It was a little discouraging that we had to do this just so that our voices could matter. In addition, throughout the process of electing the new board members, I heard a rumor that was really concerning to me. Apparently, one of the board members sitting up on the board today said that despite being there for the students, that they don't care about how we feel because we can't vote. It is unacceptable for board members, the ones who are supposed to serve the students, to even form such thoughts. If a board member is okay saying that they don't care about student opinions, they shouldn't be a board member. I am optimistic for this committee, and I'm hopeful that students will be able to have a voice for the next upcoming elections, even if that may scare some of the board trustees that are here today. Thank you.
Hello, Board. My name is Ishal Barraza. I came here to speak in support of lowering the voting age to 16. I want to acknowledge that the board has come together to form a committee to explore lowering the voting age. I've been coming to speak here for our community's needs and desires for almost 2 years, and I've gone out to canvass for multiple candidates. I feel like we don't need, I feel like as students, we need the right to vote because I don't want adults speaking for me without even asking what I think. The people who are elected will, will determine what gets done or resolved in our district. We are affected by the decisions of the board, we are affected by the decisions of the board members who we don't even get to elect. It's unfair for us to not have a voice. A trustee said that student voices didn't matter to him because we don't vote. I think that student voices should especially matter because we are the people getting affected by the things happening in our district. Thank you.
Gabriel Barraza, Area 5, and I am also here in support of forming the ad hoc committee and getting the work done as quickly as possible so that we can move on to allowing our older students in the district to vote and to hold their elected representatives accountable. This has already been done in 2 districts in California, Oakland and Berkeley. So there is already a blueprint for how it can be done. You know, whenever we make changes, people with power get scared. And I'm sure there's going to be pushback. But, you know, we trust 16-year-olds to drive vehicles weighing 2 tons on our roads. We trust people that are 18 years old to fight and die for this country. We need to give young people voice and power in our society. And so I hope that you guys get this work done quickly.
Dr. Barraza again. Before I start, I just want to say that I observed this evening a person who went to give a card and it was told you can't because the section had already started. Another person went, gave a card for a different thing that had already started and was allowed to speak. So talk about equity. That's not appropriate because we have been told that we cannot do that. So I did witness that. But what I did want to say is that I am in support of dropping the voter age because I think all trustees should be accountable to the students they serve. Students should be allowed to make that decision, especially when for 2 years, kids came here, like you said, you know, meetings go really late. They were here until 11 o'clock at night, begging the board to listen to them, and they didn't. And so I'm hoping that we can lower the voting age so that kids can be involved in their education, have a say in their education. And I think it's a really good opportunity for kids to be, you know, to start being involved civically. So why wouldn't we do that, especially with something that really affects them? And Dr. Navarro, I find it really rude that when we're here talking, you're looking at your phone. Thank you.
Eli Davies, I also would like to have the voting age lowered to 16 for the school board. As has already been stated, other school districts have done it. Students came to these meetings again and again and again to try and be heard. Right now, we are having an erosion of democracy, and so we can shore up democratic processes within our district by bringing in the students who have the closest ties to this district. And I don't think that this is gonna, you know, this is not controversial to me. People in this room stated that their own personal deity loves children, and that should include loving their voices. That should include loving their independence. That is healthy. So let's bring down the voting age so that these students can have a direct stake in their education. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Emily Halbig. It seems bizarre to me, just to start off, that so many Bible verses have been thrown around today. So I'm just going to put, I'm not religious, but I'm going to put one out there too. And I think you say it, Isaiah chapter 1, verse 19 instructs God's people to learn to do good, seek justice, and correct oppression. And we have a trustee who continues to face criticism while he is using his platform to do good, seek justice, and work to correct oppression. And I think bringing an issue like this is an example of that. And I totally love this idea. I think that creating a committee to look into lowering the voting age, you know, in addition to giving students voice in who makes decisions about their education and their future. It's really like benefiting society as a whole because it's teaching young people the value of voting, and we need to bring as many young people into the voting process as we can. So thank you.
I personally like to see leaders like Maximiliano come up here with his sister Itzel, and these kind of students are yearning to be leaders in our community, and allowing them to vote to make these kind of decisions in our community is only going to empower them. So please, please empower these youth. That's what we're all about, is empowering our youth. So let's empower them by giving them the ability to vote. It's very important that we teach them how to be leaders at a young age to make good decisions.
Good evening. Whoa, that was hydraulics. Like, all right. This would have been cool for the car show. Good evening, board. My name is Elias, and I'm speaking in support of item 9.5 regarding the formation of an ad hoc committee to explore lowering the voting age to 60 for PVUC board elections. This is a powerful opportunity to engage young people in shaping the policies that directly affect their education and future. Young people are already demonstrating leadership, not just here in other spaces, in our schools, in civic spaces, and in their communities. They deserve a voice at the ballot box when it comes to decisions impacting them daily. Forming a committee that includes students, families, and community members is a meaningful step towards inclusive governance. I urge the board to move forward with this process thoughtfully and transparently, ensuring youth voices are not just heard, but respected. Thank you.
Providence. Okay, so that is it for our public comments. What's that? Did that come late? Bernie Gomez.
Yeah, buenas tardes, Bernie Gomez with Milpa, and I do apologize because I didn't read the packet right. I was running around and stuff, and I knew I couldn't make it in time. There's a lot of important items being discussed, but what I do want to say is that this is if you want to show leadership, right? If you want to show that you actually care about the students, you want to do something for the students, I think this is where you can start too. Regardless of all these other things, you can hand them and give them some power. You can allow them to start, becoming civically engaged. Allow them to start seeing that this might be a path they want to take on. They might want to be public servants, and it's not just for them, but it's also for their families. It empowers the family also. So I read an article on the positive impacts that happen in Berkeley, right? In Berkeley, you already know it's prestigious, the school, all that stuff, so if they did it, I think we can be at that level too, straight up, and there's a lot of negative narrative around PVUSD, right? There's a lot of distrust in PVUSD. There's a lot of I can't even pronounce the word, but there's a lot of that stuff, there's a lot of this stuff going on. And yeah, I think that'd be the last thing I'll say is just let's hand some power over to the students so they can start getting involved in doing their civic duty, Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, sorry, I didn't turn it off. It's gonna beep at us. Okay, so AJ did say that we need 3 trustees for this ad hoc committee. If Trustee Flynn is interested, then we might want to table this for a date when she is here, if it's going to mean, we're not going to be able to get to 3 without her. So I'll bring it back to the board for discussion. Trustee Navarro?
So I think it sounds really interesting and exciting and a great way to get students involved. So I hope that you figure out a way to get it moved forward. A couple of things just that got brought up in my doing research is that there are not only state challenges, but there's also local and city ordinances. And one constituent reached out to me, this is what I was looking for, that said that this has already been brought before the city council, and the city's charter only allows U.S. citizens 18 and over to vote. So hopefully you can figure out a way around that, but that was one thing that came up. And another issue that came up is that it spans more than one county. And so it could be possible that you lower the voting age in one county, but not the other county, and there would be equity issues with that. And then what about students that don't live within the district? These are just constituent questions that brought up that I'm just putting out there. What about students that don't live within district boundaries? With PV Elevate, a student could live anywhere. And then apparently they wanted me to mention that in San Francisco, when they lowered the voting age, they were sued and it was tied up in courts for several years. They ultimately won, but Watsonville charter might be stricter than San Francisco's. So anyway, I just wanted to bring those things up so they were on your radar when you form the committee.
Trustee Medina? Okay, I hope you can keep it around 3 minutes.
Let's go through it. So first off, let me tell you how petty this board is. Daniel Esqueda and I were supposed to present on this the day that they launched the censure. They bumped that so that way we could not present that. His name is right on there for a reason. So don't let these people use this as an election ploy like Navarro, who's going to run when she's clearly against it. So students age 16, and we call this the Student Promise Proposal. So go to the next slide. Oh, I know you hate me right now. It's cool. So the ad hoc committee on lowering the voting age. So yes, we do need to form a committee. So the board votes this week. If we do need to table it, that way Trustee Flynn is involved and we like her and we would love for her to be a part of that. I think that's the good thing to go. But the strategy rooted in Trustee Medina's campaign platform, this is something that I promise students as an elected official, not an appointed one, that this is something that I would bring to the students. When you run an election, you actually get to know your constituency. So that's why I'm here for the students, not points against them. And then second, committee scope. So the committee will explore steps, costs, operational logistics, and community support. Let's go to the next one. Why lower the voting age? Direct impact. Students suffer direct impact from school board decisions, right? Yet lack formal representation. Family representation allows mixed status families political opportunity where parents cannot vote. I know Trustee Navarro may be against our kind voting like that in mixed status households, but this would give them that opportunity, which I think that we should really lean on to. Democratic habits build early democratic habits at a time of declining youth participation and enrollment nationwide. We have seen studies that this has actually brought more students to school because they know they have a say in their education. And student activism. Students already led walkouts, advocacy campaigns, and coalition building now need the ballot to match their voices. Let's go. Next one. PVUSD Student Promise Overview, voting rights, civic development, policy alignment, right? So we're gonna have to take a look at those and model programs. Let's go to the next one. I'm gonna have to go quick because she's gonna cut me off. Case study, Oakland Unified School District. Measure QQ successfully passed on November 20th with 67% approval. Implementation amendment allows city council to authorize school board voting rights for 16 and 17 years old. So the misinformation you just received right now, don't believe it. Voter impact adds around 8,000 new eligible voters to Oakland USD, which was awesome. And guess how much it costs? $7,000 to $10,000. If we could pay $300,000 for SROs, I think we could put a little bit of money towards students being able to vote. Let's go to the next one. So in 2019, this is the timeline and how they implemented it. So it's probably going to take about 4 years to implement this type of process. I know it's long, Emiliano, I'm sorry, and I wish we had more people that were student focused on the board. And you know, some of them have been here for 4 years, which is amazing to me. But advocacy begins in 2019. They started coalition building from 19 to 20. 2020 it was placed on the ballot, and then in 2021-23 it was adopted. And there was some truth to what Navarro said. You do have to go to the county registrar to allow those students to vote. But the cool thing about that is it's already been done. And I've actually, when we went to our, what was that event called? CSBA conference, I talked to students and board members who actually did that. And they said, you give us a call and we will be there to help you guys do this. Okay, so we got the contacts. The only thing that's preventing this from happening right now is adult behavior. All right, that's what it is. So 2023-24 curriculum integration. So there's also a civic part that we have to integrate into the schools, which is awesome. How many of y'all know how to vote as soon as you turn 18? Not many of us do, and this would actually help with that. Let's go to the next one really quick. So we saw that civic engagement actually rose from 36 to 47% in the school districts. And that's just in the first year that it was implemented. That is increasingly going up over and over again. Let's go to the next one. Case study, another one, Tacoma Park, Maryland, pioneering policy. So the first U.S. city to lower the voting age. No extra cost used existing voter registration infrastructure. So there are other models that we could look at that do not have a cost to it. And then the community impact. Policy led to stronger community and sustained youth civic engagement. And one really cool thing is those students also got to elect their representatives from the high schools. So if we do increase the amount of trustees to 3, that means Aptos, Watsonville, and PV would have direct representation on this board. And we're seeing that happen across the U.S. right now. We'll keep going. I'll post this on my Instagram so people could see it as well. You keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Keep going, keep going. I did all this research, y'all, and they just did not let me present this. Keep going, keep going. Okay, so this is something, again, that I promised to our students, and I want to make sure that we're getting it done. So I ask that you look at the people who are going against this, and we get them out in 2026 so we can ensure that students have the opportunity to vote and have a say in their board elections. So thank you all, and I hope that this moves forward. Let's adopt the PVUSD student promise. Thank you.
Okay, so do we have 3 trustees who would like to join this ad hoc committee? We have 2.
Can we do the same thing we did with the last one, like 2 now, and then when Joy's here, talk about the 3rd?
No, AJ was very clear that we need 3, so we can table it and bring it back.
Well, I think he would have given you the same advice for the last one, where we appointed 2, and we have the intention of appointing a 3, but we want to wait until all 7 of us are here.
So with the last one, that implementation team can still carry forward with just 2, but with this one, he said he wants 3, and he's willing to work with this ad hoc committee. A lot of it, though, I don't know why you couldn't have started this when you got elected. A lot of this doesn't have to do with the school board right now. There's so much work that needs to get done in advance.
I brought this up at numerous meetings that you were at.
Yeah, and nothing was stopping you from proceeding with this. And
well, no, I had to get elected in order to do it, so that's why we're doing
it. Dr. Contreras did provide all this information to us. So we know what an undertaking it is, and so we need trustees who are willing to take on that undertaking. So do we have 3 tonight?
Okay, I'll do it.
Okay.
You got us 3.
I'd still like to consider, if Joy wants to do it and we're at the next meeting and somebody else wants to do it, then we could.
Maybe a conflict comes up, Carol, where you can't do it anymore, right? And we could swap somebody in.
Right.
Well, that's totally unnecessary because the board could always just vote later to change the composition of any ad hoc committee if it wants to do that. So you don't need conflicts or anything like that.
Cool.
You could just.
The board has the power. Yes, the board can adjust these things as you go.
Just make them happy with it.
Trustee Dodge?
Oh, if we have 3 right now, I'd like to take a vote on this issue.
Okay, so if you'd like to make a motion naming the 3,
I think Daniel Dodge Jr. just made that a motion.
I would like to make a motion to support agenda item 9.4 because I think we have 3 trustees that want to do it.
Yeah.
And for the record, it's Trustee Medina's agenda item, which the other one had it, but I'm surprised that this one didn't have it. I just want people to know that I was the one that brought this up. So
I believe we have Trustee Medina, Trustee Carrasco, and Trustee Turley that, as of right now, are volunteering to be on the ad hoc committee. And I'd like to see that motion with them passed.
Okay. Okay, so we have a motion on the table to appoint an ad hoc committee consisting of Trustee Medina, Trustee Turley, and Trustee Carrasco. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. I have a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? That motion passes 5002.
That vote's gonna hurt her. She's trying to run again.
Okay, and we are going to skip item 9.6 and move on to item 9.7. Approve appointment of 2 teachers on provisional internship permits, a PIP. This report will be presented by our Assistant Superintendent of HR, Kit Bragg.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for the opportunity to present. We're asking for action from the board to approve the option to bring on 2 teachers under the these types of credentials that are temporary, but allow us to put a teacher as they're working through their schoolwork into the classroom for 2 of our vacancies at Freedom and 1 in special education.
Thank you. Do we have any public speakers to this item? Okay, seeing none, I will now bring it back to the board for discussion or a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
I have a first and a second. Do we have any discussion? Okay, seeing none, I will take a vote. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries 6001. Thank you. I will now bring us to 9.8, approve variable term credit waiver request for the 2025-2026 school year. This report will also be presented by our Assistant Superintendent of HR, Kit Bragg. Thank you.
Thank you. Very similar to the last item, asking for the same action. It allows us, in this particular case, as particular units are being worked through in the process of a teacher obtaining their credential, to have flexibility relative to their coursework, knowing that they're fully working towards that authorization. California Teaching Credential Commission allows for it, EdCode allows for it, and it obviously helps with our staffing. So we would hope for approval. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any public speakers to this item?
We do not. I make a motion to approve.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion to approve and we have a second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries 6001. Thank you. So that concludes our action items, and we will now move on to our report and discussion items. We have one item on our report and discussion, that is 10.1, our draft SRO MOU. Report will be presented by Heather Gorman, our Interim Director of Student Services.
Good evening, President Flores, Vice President Navarro, and Dr. Contreras, and board members. Thank you for having me here tonight again to present this draft MOU between PBUSD, Watsonville Police Department, and the Santa Cruz County Sheriff's Office. So I'm here tonight to gather input, this isn't an action item, on how best we can evaluate and strengthen positive student outcomes as they relate to school resource officers and mental health clinicians in our schools. This memorandum of understanding provides a structured way to define the role of the SRO, outline required training, and establish monitoring systems to assess their effectiveness. The SROs will be aligned with our efforts to support students through increased attendance and decreased suspension expulsion rates. Their work will be integrated into our restorative practices frameworks, our multi-tiered systems of support. And this MOU begins the process of critically examining and defining the impact of both SROs and mental health clinicians in our schools with our students. So what we do in our school district is connected to our collective vision and mission, focusing on student outcomes and achievement. This MOU directly relates to our third goal of creating a safe place where students can feel a sense of belonging and inclusion in their school sites. Okay. So while you have the full proposed MOU attached to your board agenda, here are some of the highlights. SROs will uphold the dignity and rights of all students, discrimination is prohibited and addressed through training and accountability. This MOU acknowledges historical harms and commits to reducing disproportionality in discipline and referrals, creating safe spaces for historically impacted student groups, building trust through presence, not surveillance. Mental health clinicians are the first point of contact for behavioral, emotional, and trauma-related concerns. SROs support physical safety, not a substitute for clinical care. Responses prioritize calm, connection, and recovery. And the district is committed to staffing, clinicians, and training for all adults. So guiding principles. Centering relationships, well-being, and belonging. Restorative practices serve as the foundation for our approach to safety and support. We foster positive partnerships between students, staff, families, and SROs. We promote student wellness through collaboration, trauma-informed, and culturally responsive practices. And we strengthen school safety by prioritizing supportive relationships and building community trust. So here are some of the permitted activities of SROs and mental health clinicians. Collaborative referrals. SROs may refer students to community-based services. And mental health clinicians may refer students to district supports along with community-based services. They may participate in crisis response, provide emergency assistance and support in crisis situations. Prevention and education serve as a resource for law-related education and prevention. Threat assessment, participation only in collaboration with school-based teams. I go to the next one. Prohibited activities. Sorry, did that move? Okay. So prohibited activities, sorry about that. SROs may not engage in or initiate school disciplinary actions, including issuing citations to students. Specifically, Education Code 48915 mandates that a principal or superintendent shall immediately suspend and recommend for expulsion. And so the list of things that are here are really focused on only acts that would be expendable offense. So the exceptions are a parent or student or guardian of a victimized student presses for charges. Student is brandishing a knife, possession of an explosion, possession of a firearm, sale of a controlled substance, and one of the ones that I forgot to add to the MOU was committing a sexual assault or sexual battery. So I would propose that we add that in. Prohibited activities continued. SROs may not participate in classroom management, interrogate students about non-criminal school infractions, conduct administrative searches unless there is reasonable suspicion of criminal activity posing a safety threat. Training requirements that we will be moving forward with are rooted in understanding, compassion, and growth. SROs are selected for their character, communication skills, and commitment to youth. Training emphasizes relationship building, cultural humility, and compassionate response. SROs may not discriminate based on race, gender, immigration status, disability, or any protected category. I met and worked with both Watsonville PD and the Santa Cruz Sheriff's Office regarding training. This slide highlights the training that will be expected, and that is in addition to the restorative practices training that the district will be engaging in. So as you see, there's quite a few trainings. I'm not going to read through all of them, but those are all the ones that will be expected. We are committed to continuous improvement through collaboration, transparency, and community voice. Oversight includes adherence to de-escalation and restorative practices, agency supervision, school partnership, and annual program review with stakeholder input and data analysis. So this MOU reimagines schools as gardens, where SROs act as skilled arborists, focus solely on safety, while educators, mental health staff, and the community cultivate a supportive environment where all students can thrive. Thank you.
Thank you. So now I will bring it to, do we have any public comments?
We do. David Schwartz, Omar Diegues, Gabriel Barraza, Dr. Lourdes Barraza, Brandon Denise, Eli Davies, Elias Gonzalez. There's more.
Good evening. My name is David Schwartz. I just wanted to make a few comments about this. When I read the agenda, I wanted to download this information, and I found that it was 16 pages in length, and I thought maybe, you know, somebody could pare that down to a couple of pages so that we could actually read it real quickly and see what it's all about. But my biggest thing here is I really commend the board for bringing back the SROs. I think this is an extremely important thing for our community, for our students. Growing up, I had the opportunity to be involved with the police in the community, and it really opened my eyes to how important their job is and how much respect they deserve. They put their lives on the line every single day, and without them meeting with the kids on a regular basis, the kids never get a chance to understand that. And so many people are in fear of our police officers, which is totally ridiculous. They are here to protect and to serve. And I think of them more as peace officers than police officers. So thank you for bringing them back, and I really look forward to their good work. Thank you so much.
There's a film called Reimagining Safety, and it's by Matthew Solomon, who gives a history on policing and police and how police function. I recommend you guys watch that. It's a really good film. I sat down with the SRO at PV High, and I debated with him for 2 hours about the policies that are implemented in the schools. And he said, I asked him, what are the policies that you've got to follow? We don't have a policy, he said. This is from the SRO. The policy that I have to follow is the Watsonville Police Department policy that I have to follow when I'm on campus. There is no school policy, no school board policy, there's no site policy that protects these students. Our students are being taken out of class, are being cited on campus without a parent present. These are minors. They cannot make decisions. They don't know what they're signing, what they're getting questioned about and stuff like that. So there needs to be a policy in place to protect these students. There should never be any minor being questioned by any adult. And if we're gonna have SROs on campus, maybe the only sole job that they should have is to sit at the gate to make sure that ICE doesn't come on campus. You know, stop them at the gate. We need to protect our youth. I am going to court with more than 4 students from PV High for being cited by SROs on campus for stuff that happened off campus. Some of them were charges were dropped after they got a citation, and that stays on your record. Even if you were not cited, it stays on your record.
Gabriel Barraza, Area 5. And I want to thank Heather for working on that MOU. It's a start. It was 16 pages, but it was pretty easy to read and understand. And there's a lot missing. A lot of specifics, a lot of details on how we're going to respect and protect students' rights. It's really easy for a disciplinary school infraction to become a criminal offense. And when your only tool is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. Like I said at the last meeting, I have nothing against individual police officers. I believe that they joined the force to make a difference in people's lives, to protect the community, but that is not their mandate. Their mandate is to enforce the law and to uphold order. And if we're living in a society where the order has been definitively shown to have a bias against people of color, then the order that they're upholding is unjust. And we do not need to expose our children, our students, in their formative years when they're testing the limits. That's just a natural part of human development at that age, to test limits. And we criminalize them for testing limits. And I'm very glad that certain members of the community were never exposed to the situation with police. That's awesome. I was an honor student at my high school, but I was regularly harassed by police just for hanging around with my 4 friends, a black man, a black boy, a Filipino, and a white guy. And they wanted to know, like, why were we hanging around? Why were we? Because that's what we did. We were teenagers. But that didn't stop the police department from stopping us, trying to take our pictures. Luckily, I knew my rights, so they can't photograph a minor without consent.
Thank you.
And so we need to rethink this.
Hydraulics, I remember now. I'm going to preface this ahead of time and actually sit there and say, this in no way is against you or any as an individual, right? You have a job, you have a career, I respect that, right? So I have to say that just because the reality is that we've pitted the community against us like this, and this is not okay. But again, this is where, again, I'll just leave it there. But I have to say that because, again, it does create the sense of that we are against the police. In no way are we anti-police. We're just pro-community. And that's what we're trying to build here. Build the community from a different lens of something that has not been working for our community. With that, I stand in strong opposition for the proposed SRO MOU. While the language sounds well-intentioned, it fails to address the deep harm that policing has caused in our schools, particularly to students of color and those from marginalized backgrounds. You cannot build trust and healing through a model rooted in surveillance, control, and fear. A truly supportive school environment centers care, not badges. Mental health clinicians, educators, and trusted community partners should lead this work, not law enforcement. This MOU attempts to repackage policing with softer language, but it does not address the root issue. Students need counselors. They need support. If we are serious about creating thriving schools, then we must invest in restorative justice, social emotional support, and the healing of our students, not in police presence. Thank you.
Hello, Dr. Barraza again. Yeah, I agree with everything Elias said. I really am disappointed that we didn't have this before you all brought it to a vote, because this is a discussion we should have been having. And you guys are so great at creating committees. I'm not sure why we didn't have a committee about this, especially when this is such an important issue. We're talking about this after the fact. I don't understand how that's useful. And I appreciate you putting all that work. It seems like a lot of work, but it's very vague. I want examples of things. And one of the things that I did see that was missing, it didn't say that parents needed to be present. It should not be up to the student to decide if they want their kids get scared and they don't know. And they're gonna say, no, I don't want my parent there. That's not the time to do it. We all know about brain development. Brain doesn't finish developing until kids are 25. Why would we have them make such important decisions that could affect their life long term at that age? And that, like everybody said, I have lots of respect for our police department. I work with them. I love them, but they don't belong in our school. And I don't think they want to be at our school. That's not where they belong. We should not be policing our schools. We should have community programs that have the time to mentor kids, get to know them all year long, you know, like Milpa and Barrios Unidos, who are there all year long, not just while the school year is there, so that we can address the root cause. And one of the things that I consistently hear is, it's like, we got to focus on student outcomes, but what affects that? A lot of things affect it. It's not just going to school and learning. It's, do you have food? A kid that doesn't have food, I don't care how an awesome of a teacher you are, that kid's not going to learn. If there's domestic violence at home, that kid's not going to learn. It's not just about the outcomes. We got to tackle the root sources, and no one here talks about that. That's what frustrates me. As a clinical psychologist, that's what frustrates me, because I know those are the things that contribute to this, and I would hope that we would put more effort into that.
And how do we address those root causes? We do so early and often with counselors at our schools. So our members fall on both sides of this issue. We have members who don't want SROs anywhere near the schools. We have members who want more SROs in our schools, and I understand that. And in governance, we meet in the middle and we work together, we collaborate, and I see that in this presentation. But I see it up here at this grand level, that it's a little bit of a surface level dive. So some questions I would like the board to ask. What are the specific restorative practices that are going to take place, and how are we going to monitor their effectiveness? So if a student participates in a restorative practice, what are the next steps? So I'd like to know more about that. And I'd also like to know, if the officers have their body cams on while they're at our schools, are they violating the privacy of any students who are not involved in their interactions? I don't know, but that's something that I would hope would be considered, because then if a student's privacy is violated, they might bring a lawsuit. So that would be something that I would look into. But back to the counselors is, if we're intervening early and giving our students the strategies to cope with the traumas that they're coming with, they're less likely to be involved with law enforcement in the first place. I just learned that the district may be looking into alternative ways to support students' mental health at middle schools by possibly bringing in coaches or outside agents. That would be directly supplanting our jobs of our counselors. And if that happens, I will be seeking legal remedies through the CFT. And so I know that this is just like, oh man, is this happening? But I've just had a conversation with someone from the district who shared that we are looking at ways to support mental health at the middle schools. And if that comes at the cost of our counselors' jobs, we will be fighting you. I've already been reaching out to the CFT. I will reach out to our attorneys. And if we have to litigate this, we will. If you want to reduce the amount of staffing for counselors at middle school, follow a reduction in force practice, follow negotiations.
Eli Davies, I also want to appreciate all the work that was put into the MOU. And as has already been stated, more definitive, restorative justice, how is that going to play out? What is it going to look like? I've heard the conversation about SROs in here, a few times. It's a hot button issue, and it does get framed like, oh, there's like anti-police and pro-police, and people bring up things like, well, I've never had a problem with police. I've heard that a lot in this room. And then, also hear people say, well, they're being taught not to like police. And throughout what we've seen all night about different experiences, different walks of life, different privileges, have different experiences through the world. I'm white. I grew up in not here in Santa Cruz, which is like a rich, segregated beach town, but I grew up in one of those in Southern California. And I didn't get hassled by police, as has been stated by other white people. So we need to look at the different experiences, and it's not just experiences, there's data about how this happens, about how it affects people. And I hear that this board loves to read. I would suggest the new Jim Crow. That's a really good book. Y'all should check it out. If you're like, oh, I'm not actually that into reading, watch 13th on Netflix. So much of this is interconnected, and we need to be making educated decisions on how systems of power impact our students.
Hold on, she's going to call the next round of cards.
What was your name, ma'am? Okay. Shirley, you can go ahead. I just didn't have a number on there. It said 1.1.
Good evening. My name is Shirley Flores Munoz. I'm an instructor with Cabrillo College, my colleague over here. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how we're informed. A police officer is trained in one way, an instructor is trained in another way. We're all trained differently in our occupations. I can have a conversation with my daughter, she's a doctor and I'm a teacher. We may come to the same agreement, but we're going to get there in different ways. Now I want to tell you something about myself. I worked for 11 years in criminal justice before I came to Cabrillo College. My first comment to my colleagues was, wow, this is a country club. Why? Because in the 11 years that I worked in criminal justice, I worked with people who had limited options, and their options were getting even more limited as their lives were moving forward. Then I go to Cabrillo College, the land of the dreams, gold running in the river. You know, I mean, you just have so much opportunity, inspiration. People go there and they pay to go there. Can you imagine? Would you give up hours of your life and pay and get nothing in return for 4 years? That's a belief. It's an inspiration. You think your life is going to get better. That's what we're promoting here. Now, when I saw her list, very good list, by the way, I saw things that are going to be conversational and also conflictual. The term reasonable, what does that mean? It has to be talked about. That's number one. But also, I did not see police officer on any of those pages. Please, you have an opportunity to do something really, really well. Look for a social worker. Look for a psychologist. Look for someone who's trained to deal with trauma. COVID-19, which none of us have even been trained on yet. That's coming down the road, baby, and it's coming down fast in all of our kids. So people like that have got to have really good insight and understanding and ability to handle situations, not people who are trained to protect us from crime. That's not the person we're looking for. And this is not about a good or a bad person. Honey, this is about training. Okay, and you have to be informed. Where's your information? You're all here representing knowledge base.
That's your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chris Webb, Bernie Gomez, Marilyn Garrett, and Edgar, I'm sorry, I can't read your last name. Okay.
Yeah, it's these good experiences people have with police. To me, it seems like white privilege. Additionally, I would say that was on display at the last meeting when Trustee Medina was heckled like I haven't seen in a long time without reprimand, and then Omar and Dr. Barraza received quick reprimands later on for their interjection in the meeting. So I think the community who got up here and left, they need to recognize that. Also, I would move to disapprove this. There's a lack of district oversight over SROs. I don't feel any kind of protection as a teacher. Like I mentioned before, they came in, they rudely interrupted my class at Renaissance. They searched the kid, and it was the wrong kid, right? And there was a guy that came, but it wasn't that kid. And I don't like the way they treated him. And what was going to happen if I stopped it, right? Like, and then are the district going to back me up? Right, and I think about this now because we have to weigh this with ICE. So, we need to do these things in the right order, and I think we're not. Also, speaking of which, we haven't even trained our own admin on the CRE training and stakeholder involvement stuff. So how are we going to say that? Oh, we're going to train the mental health clinician and the SRO. Show me that we're going to do the training, because right now we don't. I'm not even sure. I feel like SEL, that CRE training, those things need to go district wide. We need to get people trained on the right things. This isn't it. Additionally, I want the MTSS systems to be way more strong and meaningful and high functioning, kind of like the student progress monitoring system of Model Continuation Renaissance. When you're on that level, then come talk to me. Until then, as a union guy, I keep going to sites and hearing like, oh, this safety concern, and it gets like, they raise it to the principal, and then that teacher is basically often undermined because they don't get backup, and then this hurts safety because little things like, oh, I can get away with this, and the line keeps moving. So we need to do things in the right order. This is not it. Thank you.
Buenas tardes, Bernie Gomez with Milpa once again. Since we're talking about books and videos, I got two of them for you. End of Policing by Alex Vitale and Mass Supervision by Vincent Schiraldi. It talks about their training. It talks about that, it's good books, just for reference. What I want to say is, since the contract's been approved already to have SROs, right, almost $500,000, I think I agree with, I believe it was Omar who said it, because I've had that same conversation with the department head, right, about their ability to follow school policy, so maybe as an individual, the individual police officers there, maybe they'll have the discretion, right, whether they want to or not, but they don't necessarily follow school policy regardless. It's a police department or department policy first. Last thing I'll say is, I hope you guys write this down. It's SB 203, right? Youth Miranda Rights. I hope that if we're going to have cops there, police officers, SROs, whatever you want to call them, that you have that information posted everywhere, right? So that the youth have at least that knowledge that they have the right to remain silent, And not just that, but by law, right? They have to have they have to reach out counsel. They need to be able to, phone call or something. You know what I mean? So whether it's them being detained or interrogated, there's something to look into. And the last thing too is just really thinking about, really want to start moving into this form of actual prevention, right? I think someone said it, or we're talking about it already, as we want to prevent these things from happening. And in order to do that, right, we need to invest in community-based solutions. This is just the easy scapegoat, the easy thing, so anyways, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you to all the previous comments here. I took notes that the job of these SROs is to enforce the law and uphold order. What kind of law? Are these just laws? And I'm thinking of this Law and Order Administration and the Gestapo like ICE raids where people are being kidnapped and disappeared and hauled off to other countries by masked, brawny thugs in total violation of rights. So my question is, with the SROs, are they going to be enforcing Trump's law and upholding Trump's order, which is really disorder and totally anti-democratic and anti-human in my mind? The surveillance issue is a big one. We live in a surveillance society. Students shouldn't be surveilled anywhere. I don't think any of us should be. I agree with people who stated police don't belong on campus. And the militarization of the police going on in this country is very, very, very disturbing. I also think of Barry Trower, whose expertise is microwave radiation weaponry, with all these wireless pulsing microwave devices on people and Wi-Fi. He says he hasn't seen a school where aggression hasn't increased with Wi-Fi and plus all the other
Thank you, Marilyn.
exposures. So I don't think it belongs.
Buenas tardes, name's Edgar Ibarra, longtime community member here in Watsonville. You know, just as I'm getting here outside of work, just came back from Berkeley, coming from work, and just thinking about y'all's fiduciary responsibility at this time where we're going to see massive budget cuts at the education level. You all have that responsibility. There's folks here that lean conservative who also believe in a conservative budget, right? Spend your dollars accordingly. Focus on prevention. You can have as many people as here with guns. It's not going to change the outcome. You got to focus on prevention. Root cause is important. Y'all went to school. Y'all have studied. Look at the root cause analysis of what's happening in our communities. The reality is young boys need help. Chicano boys need help. That is the truth. They need resources. They need to have all the support that they possibly have. They need to have positive role models. And the reality is that the relationship between law enforcement and the brown community primarily is not necessarily the best at this moment. You need to do better by them. There's so many things that are taking place. Young men do not go to help, specifically that men that look like those two back there. They don't go to help. They don't ask them for help. They usually don't ask no one for help. So you gotta invest your dollars where they're gonna get help. It is freaking paramount. We're talking about lives here. You know, it's not about the fear-mongering. It's about real reality of what's happening in our young men's lives at this very moment, and it's really, really important that we invest in them. So as y'all approve this and think about what you're going to do, you have a fiduciary responsibility to this community, especially young men as well, with everyone else in here. So I just say that much, palabra.
Are there any other public comments to this item? Okay, so now I will bring this back to the board. And just a reminder, this is just a discussion item. So any comments you'd like to give to Heather? Trustee Turley?
I have a few comments. I was uneasy about the approval last meeting. I have mixed feelings about having the SROs to begin with, but there are a few things in the MOU that I'd like to address. Arrests off campus is mentioned twice in the MOU, in section 2.2, third bullet, and in section 4 under the line item permitted activities. It says respond to and investigate. Where would they be arrested? I feel really uncomfortable if it's something that's school related, having uniformed officers going to a student's home. And I guess maybe I just don't understand the specifics of what this is focused around. Prohibited activities, second bullet, says that they will interrogate, or maybe I didn't read it wrong, and they won't interrogate because it's under prohibited activities?
Right, correct.
Okay, because I do find that word to be very strong and aggressive, but you're saying that they wouldn't be doing that. Okay,
Correct.
thank you. Both of the contracts had significant sections that focused on truancy, yet truancy is not mentioned in the MOU at all. And I would like to understand what the SRO's involvement would be in truancy.
Yeah.
I think if we want students to be in school and not be truant, we need to have something that attracts them there, not out of fear. So I would like to see it address what exactly that means. During this next year, while we have the SROs on campus, I would like us to be analyzing and looking at services, methods, how I can't think of the phrase, help me, alternative ways of resolving disputes.
Like restorative justice.
Thank you. I'd like to have a better understanding of what our restorative justice's practices are, how the pathway works. In our youth services survey, one of the we really focused on at the last meeting whether or not students and their families and staff felt safe on campus, and if having the SROs made them feel more safe. But in that survey, it also says that there's a high percentage of our students who don't feel connected to anybody on their campuses. And some people mentioned the first line of defense is preventing things from ever escalating to the point where we see any kind of violence. And I think we as a district, and maybe one of our 2 or 3 goals that we end up adopting, would focus on making sure that we have campuses where students feel like there's somebody on their campuses, if it's a teacher or a counselor, or, I see Joe Gregorio at Watsonville High, and he seems to have really good rapport with his students. But we need to make sure those students feel like they have a trusted adult that they can go to. It'd be nice if they had a handful of trusted adults they could go to. That could be an opportunity. And I'm going to give a plug for Murray Sheckman's book, which is going to be coming out soon, which talks about the role of counselors in shaping the culture of a school, which can help address how we interact with each other, how we do things in a safe way, how we make sure people are heard, and things of that nature. You owe me $5, Murray, if you're out there.
So can I address a couple of things that you mentioned? So I did get the note about really wanting to look at truancy. So I can add more into this MOU just focused around truancy. One of the ideas that we had was, building connections, finding safe place for students, having that one trusted adult on campus. I agree, it should be more than one, but that the SROs can be part of that, and that is going to improve student attendance overall. And that's one of our main goals right now. So, and then there is also a section in the MOU around the data that we want to collect. I think we need to do not just a survey. I think the survey gives us good information, needed information, but I think we also need to really look at specific data, like the referrals that are made, why they're made, what happened, are we following up with the students? So we really want to look at that. And in the MOU, it really talked about, okay, we're going to do that. We're going to collect the data 4 times a year and then have an annual report out about, is this effective? And so before you make a decision, you will have more information around the effectiveness of the program. And the program really is the mental health clinician with the SRO. So there was some information, or, I don't know who said what, but, that idea that they are going to be together and respond to referrals together. And in the MOU, it does talk about what the mental health clinician does, and they're taking a lead on a lot of this. And so that really needs to, shine too, that's why we're pairing them, because we want the mental health clinician to be there to have a trauma-informed response, if that's what's needed.
Trustee Medina, and then I'll come to you. Trustee Medina?
You could go ahead, Trustee Navarro. I'm curious what you have to say.
Thanks. So I have a couple of different points. I want to first thank you, because I know that you kind of pushed this together as fast as possible, because we were pushing you to get it done before the beginning of the school year. So thank you for that. That being said, I'm more of a detail person, and this seems like a 10,000-foot perspective, and I'd like to see a lot more specifics in it. Mm-hmm. Specifically, I agree that some of the language is vague. In, for example, sexual assault and battery, like what exactly does that entail? Is it like somebody trying to kiss somebody in elementary school? Like,
no.
I would like to see some specifics around that.
And I'm curious just even about that part, because there is like a whole list of what sexual assault and battery is.
But I think it would be useful to put in this document.
Yeah, I mean, it's yeah. Okay.
I think the more specific that we can be with our site administrators, the SROs, the mental health clinicians, and the teachers, so that everybody kind of is on the same page and knows what's going on.
Yeah, we can reference ed code and yeah.
I'll send you the ed code, Trustee Navarro. I've read it.
Yeah.
I would really appreciate if you didn't interrupt me. Anyway, back to what I was saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right.
That, and also in regards to what's considered a reasonable search, like what does that entail? Like what is, because, you know, reasonable, that's up for interpretation.
Exactly.
Also, I'd like to see some information on like how often you're going to collect the data, report the data. There's been a lot of mentions of students being cited, and I've asked multiple times for specifics on that and haven't really got anything from either side. So
I
would
do
like-
have specifics tonight if you want some.
Yes, that would be great, because if students are being cited without parents being notified, or students being questioned outside the purview of their parents, those are really egregious things that I think that we need to address. So I would like to see some specific data on that.
And so in the MOU, I talked about reporting 4 times a year, like collecting the data. So the data is being collected the entire year. Like as things happen, the data is being collected. And then there's 4 specific reporting periods. I'm curious, do you want something different than that? Or
Well, what I'd like to see is when we come to closed session, if there is a violation of said policy, that information is being brought to us so that we can address it in a timely fashion, because often we find out about these things months to a year after they happen. So it'd be useful, I think, as an ongoing practice to monitor this program, since it is controversial. I mean, we're not going to go back and relitigate it. We've already reached out, did a community survey, and for at least for this year, we've decided to go ahead and proceed with that, but with clear guardrails. And so I think we need to be really specific about what those guardrails are. And then, sorry, I have a couple other things. Making sure there's clear language about students being questioned without parents, because that's a big concern of mine. Specifics of what the restorative practices are, and like a step-by-step fashion of like, this is what happens at step A, step B, step C, so that it's being held consistent among all of our high schools. I thought Brandon brought up a good point about body cams. I also have some concerns about body cams, and also if officers actually, frankly, need to be carrying weapons. You know, if a taser or something else might be a better choice. But that's a conversation between Sheriff's Office, Watsonville PD, and the district, but just something to think about. And then if there is some specifics about how teachers and site administrators are being trained outside the mental health clinician, the SROs, in de-escalation techniques. You know, what do they do if there's a fight that breaks out? What are teachers allowed to do and not allowed to do? Because I've heard from some people they don't really know what to do in that situation. And so I would be interested in seeing what we're teaching, like a safety plan district-wide at every level. So I know it's a lot, but I would appreciate that. Thanks.
Yeah, and we definitely can bring forward like the restorative practices that we're already doing, that we've already been implementing, so I can put that in here. Ben Slider's been supporting the entire district. And I do think that it's showing in our data that like expulsions are going down, so that has definitely decreased from last year. So what we have started is working from what I could see. So
that's great. I also think this is possibly the one opportunity that our students have to actually have a positive interaction with police, since most of the time it's not in a positive interaction.
And I talked to all 3 of the principals today, and they all, well, 2, because our new principal at Aptos High didn't, but the PV High and Watsonville High did talk about the positive relationship that the SROs have with the students and what types of things they're doing on campus.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Medina?
Again, as always, I love doing my research. Let's go ahead and hit that presentation. You could look at it if you want. Cool. All right. Yeah, lowering. I put it into that one. It should be lower, lower, lower. There you go. Okay, and let's expand that. Let's be honest here. Some people on this board would rather call ICE than admit that they're white supremacist ideologies in bringing in SRO officers. So let's start with that. So school resource officer MOU, let's go to the next slide. So I have the direct language. Yeah, go to the next one, please. So the original language says SROs do not handle school discipline or student conduct violations that are best addressed by educators or mental health professionals. Cool. This is vague and ultimately unenforceable. We've seen SROs nationwide and here in Santa Cruz County insert themselves into discipline that should never involve police. In Denver, 80% of referrals were for things like tardiness or defiance. Without a list of prohibited duties, this language leaves students vulnerable, especially Black, brown, neurodivergent, and disabled students who are disproportionately cited. We need to be specific, Ms. Gorman. Okay, there's some that you could add to the amends right there on the right side if you want to take a look at that. Or I would really like to add more to this list on what they are prohibited from doing. Let's go to the next one. Original MOU language. Instead, they serve as connectors, mentors, and protectors in times of true safety concerns. The phrase true safety concerns is too vague. What qualifies? Who decides? In practice, this has historically meant whatever the officer deems it to mean, even when the student poses no real threat. If we're going to say SROs act as protectors, we must define what safety means and who is at risk. And then another thing is replace instead, they serve as responders to active threats of physical harm, not behavioral issues, and only in situations that cannot be safely addressed by trained educators and mental health professionals. That's how specific you all need to be when you're writing these. Let's go to the next one. In original MOU, engaging in or initiating school discipline actions, including citations to students, exceptions, brandishing a knife, possessions, and I think we're all in agreement on this. This clause provides loopholes for enforcement. Why are we creating carve-outs that allow officers to escalate student discipline? Staff even assess the situation. Brandishing a knife is already a penal code violation. We don't need to restate what the law already defines. We need to reaffirm that non-criminal behavior stays with the school, not law enforcement. And there's some proposed amendments right there that you could read. Let's go to the next one. No mention of parental notification when questioning students. Why this needs to change. In 2018, a student in Stockton was questioned and cited without their parent ever being called. The district paid out a lawsuit. This board loves talking about lawsuits and getting them, yet they conduct them all the time, especially by unelected officials. The district paid out a lawsuit. If we can't even guarantee that parents are contacted when their child is questioned by law enforcement, then we're failing the most basic level of student protection. So, no student shall be questioned, searched, detained, or cited by an SRO without the presence of a school administrator and immediate notification to the student's parent or guardian. Questioning shall not proceed unless a parent or guardian is present, except in documented emergencies. Again, Ms. Gorman, you need to be specific. Let's go to the next one. I'm sorry, I'm an AP literature student, so they had me analyze poetry, and good Lord, every word counts.
I hope you're planning on sharing this with me.
Oh, you got it. Yeah, I sent it to them. So, SROs will be selected for their character, communication, and desire to work with youth. If they wanted to do that, they should be a counselor, they should be a teacher, right? They should not come into that job if this is their main goal. So, character is subject, what are subjective? What we need is verifiable training. LAUSD's decision to defund school police came after data showed SROs lacked adequate preparation for school environments. If SROs don't complete anti-bias, disability, and youth development training, they should not be on campus. And those are my proposed amendments right there. And then in addition, no SRO may be assigned to a PVUSD school site without prior review and public approval by the Board of Trustees as part of the annual SRO appointment process. The board shall receive the officer's training record and prior site experience so we could verify that is being done. If y'all want to come to schools, y'all need to be trained. Let's go to the next one. Supervision and accountability. PVUSD will designate a point of contact to receive concerns or feedback. That's not going to cut it. We've seen what feedback looks like to these people. Why this needs to change. A point of contact is not a system. Students need a clear complaint process with timelines, transparency, and follow-up. The lack of real accountability systems is why families don't trust these programs. And if you're going to read that survey, it's highly skewed, right? I wish those people that were so passionate about this issue would have stayed, right? But I guess some people's buddies had to leave. So my proposed amendment, PVUSD shall establish a formal complaint process for students, families, and staff. Complaints must be acknowledged within 5 business days. Investigations must conclude within 10 business days, and findings must be shared with the with the complaint, site administrator, and superintendent. Also, parents and guardians shall have the right to request a review of any SRO-related incident involving their child before an impartial panel, including one site administrator, one community representative, and one board-appointed designee. Findings shall be shared with the superintendent and board. Let's go to the next one. Documentation of SRO student interactions. No clause requires documentation of searches, detentions, or citations, which is very troubling to me. In 2020, New York City Department of Education audit revealed that nearly 1/3 of police student interactions went undocumented. That's not just a data issue, it's a justice issue. And there's a proposed amendment right there for you. Let's go to the next one before they cut me off. Annual evaluation and termination clause. Annual feedback and evaluation will include students and family input. Great. Feedback is not decision-making. We need to build student leadership directly into oversight. In Chicago, student leadership teams co-develop safety evaluations. Let's follow that model. Each site with an SRO shall hold a student-led evaluation forum each semester. A disaggregated summary of findings will be included in the annual public report to the board and used to guide site-level decisions. A district-wide student advisory committee comprised of representatives from each SRO site and one trustee liaison shall meet annually to review the findings and make formal policy recommendations to the board. Termination clause. Any party may terminate this MOU within 30 days written notice. Really? Let's change that. Termination is currently vague. Oakland Unified added automated termination triggers when community trust was broken or training wasn't met. We need the same. PVUSD may immediately terminate the SRO if a substantiated rights violation occurs, repeated harm and disparities are documented, SRO failed to complete or falsifies required training, a formal vote by the board or superintendent determined loss of community trust. Let's go to the next one. And that's it. Thank God. All right, so this is the amount of detail I need to see. There are people on this board who have privilege and who have not been arrested. I've called a police officer because the frat next door was being too loud and had their music on. And it was a white frat at that. When the cops showed up, guess who they arrested? Me. It wasn't that frat. Another incident happened. A girl, because I didn't let her park in my spot that I had waited for, called the police on me and used her white tears, and I got arrested because of that. White tears are dangerous, right? They cause harm, and they've literally led to people being killed throughout history, and that is a fact. So we need to be specific, and we need to hold these SROs accountable. It is a shame that teachers have to go through so many years of training and education just to be licensed to be in this position, but we get to allow these people to just walk in without any training to that level. So, Ms. Gorman, I hope that you could really beef up what you have with some more specifics. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And do we have any comments from Trustee Dodge or Trustee Carrasco?
Thank you, Heather and Gorman, for your report. I know it's just a blueprint, and my colleagues have a lot of great ideas, so hopefully, we can, any other questions or presentations you might have, you can incorporate all this, but thank you.
Thank you.
I was also really interested in the restorative justice examples. As a previous teacher who has stopped fights, and I've seen a lot, I've always asked myself, what are they going to do now for the next steps? And a lot of the times I see the students stop coming to school, or then I don't even know what happens, so I don't know what kind of help they got. Did they get help? Were they able to be connected? And I couldn't know that as a teacher, but now I would like to see something so that we all know what is the process, so those students continue to come to school. And then, as a previous teacher who has stopped a lot of fights myself, I think I heard it here in one of the meetings. I think it would be really valuable if teachers are interested, or staff, for any kind of training for de-escalation. I myself had a lot of training with the County of Education when I worked with children with autism, so they wouldn't self-harm themselves. So when I would see the fights, it was just like a natural thing. But there was instances where, and I don't know if this is true, right? But I saw security guards not help. And it was because they said it was two girls fighting and they couldn't get involved. And I don't know if that's true or if that's actual, you know. But I remember being really upset because I'm like, I'm struggling. The student's like twice my height, you know, like I'm doing what I can. So there's been times where I'm like, okay, we don't have the training. We do want to help. So I don't know if that's something that we could provide.
We already do provide that. It's we use safety care training in the district, and we do several trainings throughout the year, and any staff member can sign up for it.
Okay.
It does take some time, and there's different variations of the training that we provide. A full 2-day training goes through all of the de-escalation strategies and on to protective holds. Typically, we don't go on to the section with the protective holds. That's more for some of our teachers or staff that maybe do work in autism classrooms where it is more prevalent that they really need to know how to maneuver around students that may be telling us something with their behavior. But we do provide that safety care training.
And provide that for security guards as well.
Yeah. And I know we have for campus supervisors, so we can look at, SROs.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to, so I thank you for all this time and effort that you put in. I want to commend PVUSD for even coming up with this pairing idea, all those years ago. I'm a little sad that we didn't have written procedures, which was something that when Dr. Contreras came on, saw that we were lacking a lot. And so I thank you and Cabinet for all the, time that we're taking to put our processes and procedures into writing so that, going forward, we do have this. So I think this is an amazing start. It's disheartening to know that we did not have this in place before. I do want to, echo some of what was already brought up with, the restorative practices, body cams, bringing in parents. But I know this was a draft, and that was what this whole point was to have this discussion so that we can then come to an agreement. And I think that what we have here, our SRO mental health clinician, is very unique in this, in that, we do offer that safe space for these children, and we've seen it work so well now at all 3 of our schools. And so I'm really encouraged and proud of PVUSD for the work that we've seen, and I thank you for this. So, okay, yep.
Sorry, I just wanted to make one more comment that I think the truancy issue should not be involved in the SRO contract. I don't think that has anything to do with student safety and really should be the job of the district and their employees and not the SRO. So that would be my recommendation. And I know that there was actually in the contract, the ed meeting or whatever, that newsletter that goes out from CSBA, this was an issue in another district too when they were using it for attendance, when that's really not what they're supposed to be used for.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, do we have any other comments? Trustee Turley?
I would just like to say, based on my interactions with my 6 fellow trustees, I believe that all 7 of us are appalled by the activities of ICE. I don't believe anybody in this room. I don't believe anybody in this room at all is in support of the horrific practices that have been occurring by ICE.
Thank you. Okay, so we thank you and we look forward to continuing this conversation. And now I will take us to our consent agenda. Our consent items are routine items coming before the board. Do we have any public speakers to consent agenda? We see none. I will bring it back to the board. Do we have
like a motion?
I would love a motion.
I will move approval of the consent agenda.
I second.
Okay.
Good luck, Eva. Figuring out. I believe it was Trustee Dodge. But, okay, all those in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstaining? That motion passes 6-0-0-1. Okay, so now we have no deferred items to discuss, and we have nothing. We do not need to reconvene to close session. So with that, our next board meeting will be August 20th. As of right now, no, we have till 10th. Oh, that's 3 minutes fast. We have our next board meeting will be August 20th here. As of right now, it's here in this district office boardroom. If it changes, we will make sure to notify. And I now adjourn this meeting at, my phone says 9:58.
That's wrong.
Yeah.
What does the lawyer say?